so sacred, magical love. Sexy.
Ooks, 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 do, 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 do. It has been stuck in my head when I was thinking about what to do a reading about. Honestly, Cat's Eye, their songs were stuck in my head too, but I don't know. I kind of felt like more pulled towards Blackpink's energy because they were the first K-pop group that I was like fell in love with and introduced me. So it feels right. It feels right. I want to do some readings about pop culture, and they're the first ones I want to do about. So let me know in the comments if you want to have more readings done on anyone else in pop culture. It does not have to be K-pop, but I do love K-pop. I also love telenovelas and whatnot, so it doesn't have to only be American or Korean. But right, let me know. I mean, expose me to new things. I could dig into people I don't even know about as well, right? So let's see. For Blackpink, I wanted to cover first how they feel about each other. Now, I've seen a lot of readings about this, and I want to get more into like the dynamics and like the truth. It's not just their perspective, but like the overall truth of like how their dynamic is and how they feel about each other. So I'm gonna pull one card for each member. First, I'm gonna start with Jisoo. She's the first that comes to mind. So Jisoo, how do you feel about? We'll pull three cards for each, of course. So first, Jisoo. How does Jisoo feel about Jennie? I like to have the cards just fly out. This is how Jisoo feels about Jennie. Wow, she she thinks very highly of her. Like she is that it girl. She is like God's gift. Like she was crafted by the gods exactly how like like the world sees as ideal. Like she is that ideal person, it girl. Like she's a star. Is how she's Jennie and Jisoo sees Jennie. Now, how does Jisoo see Rosé? How does Jisoo see Rosé? How does Jisoo see Rosé? Mm. And this reminds me of what I heard in another reading as well from I think her YouTube name is KLD, I think. Um, so Jisoo kind of feels like Rosé has her walls up. That's what this card is indicating, that she's kind of like given up on her in a way, in a sense of like, well, it's not really getting anywhere, like her walls are up. I tried, I made my attempts. It shouldn't be like if I have to work so hard. Like she has that everybody can tell and see that she has that like nonchalant, like I don't care, I'm gonna do me attitude and energy. So it's like she feels like I shouldn't have to do so much, and if the fact that I have to do so much to try to get to know someone and connect with someone tells me that they don't want to connect with me anyway. So I'm not taking it personally, and I'm just going to go with the flow. It's very much going with the flow, and that is the flow that Rose has like guided her towards, which is a distance. So she's like she's definitely keeping her distance. And like I'm getting attracted to the green here, so it's like Jisoo herself wants something to grow. Like if it was up to her, like they would be connected and they'd want something to grow, right? But it's like it's all coming from her end. It's very one sided, and so she's like, you know what? It's like all this like the ripple effect with just one drop at a time. It's not fair. It's not fair, and she's drawing a boundary there and letting go because she's not able to see. I'm getting drawn to the number 8 here, so she's not able to see abundance and fruition and growth here. Like it feels like she feels like she's done all that she could, and that if she did any more, like it would just be like toxic. And so she feels like the healthy thing for her for with Rose is to keep a distance and to let go, trying so hard to connect with her. And like if she wants to come and connect with me, I'm open if she wants to come to me, but I've already made my efforts and she's already rejected me, and I've made my peace with that. And that's what it feels like. So, how does Jisoo feel about Lisa? How does Jisoo feel about Lisa? Two cards came out for Lisa. Well, Jisoo really is like that girl who's just like unbothered queen. I love that, right? So here we go. We literally got the card going with the flow. So we got that impaired here with rebirth going with the flow. Interesting. So it's kind of giving me like maybe they've had a falling out and they've had this period where they had their distance. Something made them feel like they're like they don't really want to be close to each other. I have a feeling like there's more connection in their connection with Jisoo and Lisa in terms of Jisoo and Rosé, because I'm getting like Jisoo and Rosé. I get the feeling like they were kind of surface level, and then like something happened where it's like she saw Jisoo act a certain way, and she's like, and she kind of judged her for that in a way of like, well, I don't agree with that choice, and that kind of makes me feel unsafe around you. And she didn't really want to like communicate and open up with her about that. She just made that choice on her own, and that's why Jisoo was like, well, I don't know why her walls are up, so I'm just gonna let it go. But I feel like Jisoo with Lisa, she was more so like they had a deeper bond. They had a deeper bond, more of a connection, and a friendship, a true friendship. And then something happened more with personal with each other. It's like with Jisoo and Rose, I get the feeling like Rose like saw the way that she moved and made a decision with her life outside of their relationship. But I feel like with Jisoo and Lisa, it has something to do with their personal relationship, because I feel I keep seeing them like looking at each other. They keep looking at each other like up and down, like kind of like, well, you really just did that? I can't really trust you. Like they're both kind of eyeing out each other, like they don't really trust each other. So they probably, I feel like, had a disagreement with the way that they viewed things or the way that they viewed someone. It's like, well, you think like that. You prefer that, and like it's totally the opposite of me. And so that kind of made them feel like, well, we kind of like our personalities are just really different in that way where we don't understand each other, so we're kind of butting heads in this way where we're judging each other for our different choices and our different opinions. But I feel like the higher truth of it all is that it's really just like their personalities, everyone's personalities is formed based off of like our own past experiences and traumas, right? And so it's really not personal why we choose and like the things that we do, and whatnot, because it's all based off our own personal traumas and experiences. And when we don't have a trauma and experience, it's hard for us to look at somebody else reacting with a different trauma and experience, and to have like understanding with that, right? Because it's like, oh, we're so this way that it really only makes sense for us to like act the way that we do. And so to see that difference, it's kind of, it's just like this basic like judgment of like different personalities, like just not understanding because they don't have the life experiences. It's like it's as basic as surface level as that. Like, so I was trying to think deeper into like what is a good analogy for it, and what I'm getting is like Jisoo. What I saw was her dressed up as like very cutesy, like with the half up, half down hairdo, and like a bow in her hair, and like the cute little skater skirt, and like she's looking very cutesy, very youthful. And then I saw like Lisa, like they're getting ready together, for example, and Lisa is like dressing up in something a little bit like more sexier, right? Like more exposed and just like a sexier vibe and aesthetic. And they're kind of like looking at each other like, oh, like you're gonna go out like that? Like, okay. It's like kind of like they just worry that they don't vibe because they're so different. And it's kind of like just like this judgment for being so different. But if they could get past that judgment, then they could still like have that bond. Like it doesn't have to depend on, if they judge each other for their different choices or whatnot, because I have a feeling like it's not something that affected the other person. It's like just like a judgment on like how they live their life and that kind of thing, because they would just do it so differently that they're like, okay, well, I don't know if we're gonna really get along that well. So that makes sense, and I feel like that makes sense that that's why it was paired with this rebirth card, because they both have this understanding that like maybe the reason that they had that falling out was kind of a juvenile, was kind of surface level, and that there is a true connection there. Like they genuinely care about each other, and like each other, like as human beings. And so when they let that judgment go, like there is something possible for something to grow, right? Rebirth, if they just go with the flow. So, not being so judgmental is what that's giving, right? And just letting that person be who they are, right? Like watching them grow into somebody else. I feel like that's also kind of their struggle. Maybe so with because maybe Jisoo is the type of person who she didn't change so much over in their time together, but Lisa was the type of person who, like, she changed a lot, and they kind of judge each other for those changes, like, like because they have different perspective on change, I guess. Okay, right. Like Jisoo like thinks it's a good thing that Jisoo didn't change so much, and Lisa thinks it's a good thing that Lisa changed so much. So it's so because they have that perspective on change for themselves, it's like they're looking at the fact that the other person didn't change or did change so much or not so much, and they're judging them for that because they have different perspectives on their own life view of how they should change and whatnot, or be. So it's like they're kind of coming to this understanding in the present moment of like, well, of course, this other person is allowed to change however much they want. And of course, this other person is allowed to like not change however much they want. Right. And it's like they're in this space of like they're both, and I feel like that's why two cards came out, because they're both trying to do this as well. Like in this space of like having this unconditional love for each other, where they're going to allow each other to grow at their own pace and in their own way that they want to, because before they didn't. Before there was like judgments, there was expectations on that, I guess, because they were all expected to like be more cohesive, because they're supposed to be more of like uh like uh a group identity, right? And now they're turning more towards individual solo careers and identities, that there's a little bit of that contrast that was coming out, and or not, and the contrast was coming out before, but now there's more of that acceptance, because they see that like, well, this is the real you, or you're able to just grow and shine um in a more authentic way. And I feel like maybe Jisoo was always the one who was authentic, or who learned to, or who had more self love and authenticity in her identity beforehand, in the beginning stages of Blackpink, and and versus Lisa, who she is still sort of figuring that out, and solidifying that identity as they go into their solo career. And so like I feel like they were just on a different wave, and they were kind of not having that, not understanding, and not much compassion for that, because they didn't have understanding, right? But they're understanding now that, right, to have more compassion. They're understanding that that was the key, and that it's like they value having each other in their life, having a good relationship with each other. So they're making that effort because they see that each other wants to make that effort, you know, like as opposed to like her with Rosé. So that's interesting. That's very cool. Very cool. So I feel like out of all of these three cards, I feel like Jisoo has like the closest relationship with Jennie, or maybe she has the closest friendship with Lisa, and Jennie is a tie, because Jennie was kind of, the card I was getting with Jennie was kind of like more like, not like fangirl, but more like idolizing, kind of like from a distance, and like the Lisa one seems more like a real friendship, where you go through these rough times, but you're still learning how and willing to grow through it together. And yeah, I think that's how they create a deeper bond anyway. So I feel more inclined to say maybe she has a deeper bond with Lisa, but she has like a better track record with Jennie. Like maybe that's just to say that. Yeah. Interesting, interesting. So now I want to move on to Jennie. So how does Jennie feel about Jisoo? Oh my gosh, so much cards fell out for that. I don't like that because, we're not trying to be here forever. We're not trying to be here forever. So, was one card. Thank you. Ooh, projections. So it's kind of giving me like Jennie has this sense. She has that like intuition that um that that Jisoo kind of idolizes her, looks up to her, or like sees her as like, I don't want to say better than, but like maybe it's because of that she sees that she idolizes her, that she sees that that comes from a place of like, you don't think that you're as good. And it's not that it's not that Jennie thinks that she's better, but it's like she can see that maybe Jisoo might think that, but it's not like Jisoo even really thinks that Jennie's better than her. It's that what the truth of it all, the underneath the core is that Jisoo doesn't think that she's good enough, and I feel like that's what Jennie is picking up, and she feels like sometimes Jisoo projects at her in that way, and it reminds me of something else I got from another reading. I think it's also from the YouTuber KLD that Jisoo sometimes feels like Jennie gets unfair treatment like she gets away with things that other people are not able to, and so she kind of feels like Jisoo kind of feels like Jennie has this undeserved um, credit or privileges, and so she feels it's kind of unfair. So I guess this card is kind of confirming that. This card kind of confirms that that's how Jisoo feels, and that Jennie can pick up on that. And then I'm getting called to the number 7 on the bottom of that card. And so that's indicating to me, because when I was called to that part of the card, I was asking, what was I asking? Yes, and like that's what it makes so much sense that Jisoo got the source card for Jennie, right? Because she's like, oh, source, like it's basically God, right? And it's like, whoa, like she sees you as the ideal, right? So it's like she sees that like the world sees her as that as well. That's what I'm picking up. So it's like the card is also indicating like Jisoo feels that like the world sees her as that as well. And with this card, it's like it's telling me that like being it's like she's known for being the one who is like the least liked, the least favorited, because I guess when you have that member in the group, like people just always call it out. People just are always calling it out, like who's the favorite, and even the company itself, right? Like behind the scenes, everybody, like the members are ranked against each other, right? So this constant, like the opposite of camaraderie, this constant ranking, and like the fact that Jisoo has always been like ranked at the bottom by everyone, it gets to her, and it's like you can't blame her. It's only natural that it's gotten to her, and I feel like Jennie is picking up on that, and so where I was trying to ask like, well, how does Jennie really feel about that, like objectively, like okay, that's how Jennie perceives things, but how does she feel about that in her? Like, is she mad at her about that? Does she have understanding? Right? What is the deeper layer of how Jennie feels about that? And that's when I was, pulled to the number 7 here. So I feel like that's indicating like lucky is indicating like a positive perspective. It's like because she's able to see into the deeper layer of like, well, this is where it comes from, she's also able to have compassion for it. She's also able to have compassion for her as well. Like she can see like, I know that's not really you, Jisoo. I know like this is like this stuff is getting to you, and it can get to everybody, so it's like I'm just gonna let you go through your thing so that you can get through this, but I'm not holding it against you, that kind of thing. Yeah, that's what I feel. So now, how does Jennie feel about Lisa? How does Jennie feel about Lisa? One card, please. So glad only one card came out, like for all of the first ones. So, um, okay, so these two were the only ones that were right side up. So I'll take it since it's just two. So right, how does Jennie feel about Lisa? Ripeness, tuning in, but in reverse. Ugh, immediately it made me think of her career. So it's like Jennie's kind of she sees the potential in Lisa. She's really rooting for her. She really wants her to win and she really feels like she's at her prime. She's in her element. Yeah, she really feels like she can go for it. She can be at the top. She's like this is the prime time for the pickings to put her in that top spot. Like she sees that potential for her. But at the same time, I feel like she feels like Lisa is her own worst enemy. Like in some way, Lisa is holding herself back because she's not tapped in. Tapped in is what I feel like to her intuition. So I feel like Jennie is a very intuitive person. She's in tune to her emotions. And so I feel like she feels like Lisa is not. And I feel like that's why she feels a little worried for Lisa. Like she's gonna miss this moment. She fears that Lisa's gonna miss this moment of like ripeness. Because she's not tapped into her emotions and she's a little bit too in her head. She's a little bit too in her head, right? Like the upright version of this, it's like this person is tuned within, she is grounded no matter what's going on outside of her. And so, reverse, it's like she feels like Lisa, she's all over the place. She's not being her, and because she's not tuning in, she's not showing up as her authentic self, and she's not putting in like authenticity and integrity into her work. It's giving like she's kind of just doing what's gonna she Jennie feels like Lisa's kind of just doing what's gonna sell and what's gonna look good versus what's gonna feel good. So I feel like Jennie is the type of person to make the music that means something to her, like on an emotional level, and she feels like Lisa is not doing that, and so she feels like it's not going to do well because right, and it's just because of her own beliefs that like that's what it means to succeed. Personally, I agree that like it's like a universal law, like with the law of attraction, that it takes turning within, it takes being in tune with your authenticity and your passions, and I feel like that's where your true success lies. So I agree with that, and so I feel like Jennie's seeing a deeper level here of like it's like I want to see her do her best, and she is doing her best, and I don't want to pry, I don't want to nag, I don't want to make her feel like I'm judging her. So it's kind of like how Jennie feels about Jisoo. It's like I'm not judging you, I see it for how it is, I see it for how it is, but I'm just gonna let it be, I'm just gonna let you be, I'm gonna let you live your life. Like that's kind of the energy it is giving. Interesting, interesting. So it's like she's rooting for her, but she doesn't agree with all the choices that she's making. But she's definitely like rooting for her, and she sees a lot of potential in her. She sees her as a star. Yes. Okay. So now, how does Jennie feel about Rosé? How does Jennie feel about Rosé? Thank you. One card. Reverse. Patience. Hmm. Wow, so I just went silent because it's like all my thoughts were like rushing in so fast. So I feel like that's kind of how Jisoo sees Rose as like, yeah, like she's just like, like I heard this from another reading too. Like Rose is kind of just going with the flow and just like, putting whatever's she's experimenting with a lot of different things and seeing what sticks, right? And so I kind of get that. I kind of get that energy that she sees Rose doing all of these different things to see what sticks, but Jennie is seeing it as like, well, why are you doing all of these? Why are you doing all of these different things um, instead of just nurturing one thing that you really feel like passionate and like about? So it's kind of like, she doesn't, it's another thing where she doesn't agree with the choices that she's making in her career. um yeah, so she kind of just feels like she is the type of person to, she sees her as a very creative person. She sees her as a very creative person, as somebody who is in touch with like their divine feminine, right? So even motherly and nurturing, but maybe she sees her as somebody um who's not directing that energy in a positive light right now. She sees her because she's overwhelmed. It's like she sees her as somebody who ooh, I'm getting drawn to like the rainbow here. So it's like she sees a lot of potential in her as well. Like she has the power to create like amazing, powerful, beautiful things. But she doesn't agree with the way that she goes about it. She believes that it's a little bit messy, it's a little bit discombobulated. But I'm getting like that's just a difference in their personality. Like I feel like maybe Rose, maybe she has ADD or something, I don't know, but like have a feeling like that's just her process. Her process is just different, where she likes to do all of these different things, jump from this into that and jump from all of these different things, and like that's how she gets it sorted and straightened out. But Jennie's just the opposite way. And so she feels like it would be better if you did this. Also, because she feels like she looks so all over the place that she feels like, well, hey, it's not really working for you either. Why won't you take my advice? So maybe she feels that way because also because Rose, doesn't want to listen to others and she kind of wants to just do her own thing. And maybe that's why she feels like it's such a rush. She feels like, right, maybe Rose feels like she's in her ripe prime. She's in her prime. She's in the prime of her career, and she needs to what do you call it? She needs to capitalize on this time in her career. And so like maybe Jennie feels like no, it's not the time. It's like she feels like you are an infinite source of like creation. Like you, that's how she sees Rose, is what I'm getting. You're an infinite source of creation. Like you can create beautiful songs and melodies like out of your butt is what I'm getting. Like it's easy for her. She sees it as it's easy for her. Like I'm picturing Jennie like leaving the studio, and like Rose was always the one who stayed behind, and like I'm seeing Rose like always writing in a book. So it's like she really sees Rose's potential as a songwriter as well. So it's like she's like not worried for her at all in the sense of like her capabilities, but more so in the sense of her execution. Kind of similar to with Lisa. She believes in her capabilities, but she's not really agreeing with the way that she's executing it. Yeah, yeah. And I'm getting drawn to the moons here as well. So I feel like Jennie has an understanding that like this is just a point in their life where like a cycle. This is a cycle that like they have to go through, and I may not agree with it, but I understand that everyone's different and that's just what they got to go through. Yeah. So that's the underlying message that I get. So ultimately, like they all think pretty highly of each other. They all like make all these efforts to connect and to believe in each other. It's really right, it's just personality clashes. Just regular basic personality clashes. Uh right. Which is just unavoidable and inevitable, I feel like. but the underlying energy for Jennie, I get, is like but you know, hands up. It's like I understand, you know. So Jisoo was like very like detached as well. Jennie was like a little bit more attached, but also like, what are you gonna do, you know? Because she's a little bit more in tune to her emotions, I feel. But she also has that higher level understanding. Oh, interesting, very interesting. Okay. Now, moving on to Rosé. How does Rosé feel about Jennie? One card, please. How does Rosé feel about Jennie? Jennie. It's Jennie. Her song Like Jennie just played in my head, so it's like, ooh, Rosé kind of wants to be like Jennie in a way, right? Because I guess she also sees her as an it girl, right? It's like she sees her as somebody who has it all, and I'm pretty sure that's very similar to what Jisoo got for Jennie. So that's very interesting. That's very cool. It's very cool. Like they see her in such a high light. I feel like it's because Jennie sees herself in such a high light. Like Jennie has a strong sense of confidence, right? She has a good sense. She's very grounded because she's very in tune to her emotions, right? So she's a very balanced person on the inside, and so other people are able to see that on the outside and see her as, right, because people are only able to see you for how amazing as you are if you're able to like reflect that, project that, embody that. Yeah, so that's a very interesting, and it's like I'm getting drawn to how this person is like on a book. It's like Rose sees Jennie as somebody who like has it all and can like she gets whatever she wants, like magic, right? It's like she's running around on the world on a magic carpet, like flying around, like she can just get whatever she wants, like magic, right? Like everyone and anyone wants to help her. She's very charming. She's very likable, lovable. Like she's that girl. And like she also sees her someone very intelligent. Like she like not like a know-it-all, but like wow, like she knows a lot, you know. And so she's not just pretty. It's like she sees her as a wise person as well, right? And it's like on the top above all the mountains. It's like she sees her star potential. She sees her as like somebody who's going to be at the top for a long time, you know, like substantial success. That's how Rose sees Jennie. Beautiful, very flattering. And then I also kind of got called to how, oh, this guy got black hair. So it's kind of reminding me of Jennie, because not everyone on here has black hair, right? So, um, and the fact that, but it's a man, right? So I feel like Rose kind of sees Jennie like she has a good balance of masculine energy, right? So she has like, and it's not to say that women are not leaders or bosses, but it's like she sees her stepping into her masculine energy to take charge. She admires that. She admires that her balance. Maybe she balances her masculine and feminine well. Like when you have an imbalanced masculine, of course you're not going to be a good leader just because you're a masculine energy. You know, it's coming from a balanced place where you have your balanced masculine and feminine. Right, so that's very much what I'm getting. But it's like more sour, more sour towards her masculine, and I feel like she admires that. Probably because Rose is a little bit too much in her feminine, and so uh, she admires that balance. Because obviously Jennie is still a very like feminine being, but it's not fully feminine, and I feel like you can see that, you can feel that, right? And she sees the power in that. She sees the power in having that unification and in that balance, and so that's how she admires Jennie and looks at her. Now, how does Rose feel about Jisoo? Okay, so this card fell up upright, and then this one fell down, down, face down. So I'll take it. I'll take it. So how does who is it? Rosé feel about Jisoo? Okay, so I feel this confirms this confirms Jisoo's cards about Rosé because I feel like it's saying how Rosé acknowledges that Jisoo has made lots of efforts to connect. Rosé acknowledges that Jisoo has like been the glue in their friendship and in their relationship. She's been always the one to initiate the connection and whatnot. And you have control, but in reverse. So I feel like this explains, like, although she feels and she knows, hey, clearly she's trying to connect with me. I don't know, for some reason she fears connection or intimacy itself. Because with this card, I wasn't getting a lot of it's kind of similar to how Jisoo saw Jennie. It's kind of like looking at somebody from above from a distance. Yeah. Yeah, so not that close. Not that close, but you do like admire somebody, like you do get along, you do look up to them. You have a good perspective on them. So it's like that is how she feels with Jisoo. She has a good perspective on her, but for some reason, she connecting with her makes her feel out of control. Connecting with her makes her scared. Let's see why. Let's pull a card for why. Why does Rosé feel out of control? And is it just in connection to Jisoo specifically, or just in intimacy? Because so far she doesn't really seem close to Jennie. So who knows if maybe she's not really close to any of them, you know? So let's see. Fighting, fighting. So it's like she feels like they did, whenever they did get along and they had that point of like we're close, and then they had the falling out, right? Like at that point she felt like she felt like she decided, right, when they had that falling out, Rose decided that, oh, we're just two different people. I guess we're just never going to really get along because we're too different. We're not really going to understand each other. Because we're not going to understand each other, we're going to constantly butt heads. And so I don't really see what's the point in being open to this. And the fact that this is upright, I feel like, okay, she wants to be open to this deep down, but she's afraid of this. She's afraid of being open to it, right? Because of this. So I feel like because of their differences, they must have butted heads a lot in the past. But I feel like Jisoo did always make efforts to like reconcile. So although they butted heads, they did reconcile. And I feel like even at that last falling out that they had, it wasn't like a falling out with like, oh, I'm never going to speak to you again, because of course they have to work together. It was like a falling out where like, oh, they did reconcile in the end, but like it was like there was still a a bittersweet, like, well, we leave it at we agree to disagree. We agree to disagree and we left it at that. And so there's still this kind of like, we disagree, like we're not on the same team. I guess because of that, it's made her feel like I should just keep my distance because I have a lot on my plate already, and it's just safer. It's just safer because we have to work together. It's just safer to keep that distance instead of like taking a risk on the love, right? And possibly coming to this. Oh yeah. Okay, so I have a feeling that their falling out had the potential to like cause big problems in the group. Like maybe it was somewhere where like they were holding a grudge for each other, against each other, for a long period of time, and it was like really affecting the group, and like everyone else had to get involved and be like, what's going on with you guys, because like you guys need to get along, like And then maybe that's the reason why they reconciled, because other people had to step in, right? So that adds another layer of like afraid to connect because it got so tumultuous, because it got to the point where like it could have gotten really bad, and I don't want to get close to that point again, because we have all these other people who are depending on us and who are looking to us like, like it's like she's playing it safe, like for the sake of their career, because she knows that it's better it's better that they just like are cordial than if they get close again, and then if they uh have another falling out again. It's better for her that way. And she's like, well, maybe if we're not in the group, maybe when we're done being in the group, then I can try to like, maybe that's when she wants to put her walls down, when their friendship isn't like, when their friendship isn't when the way that they get along, when their dynamic isn't a variable to their success. And when you take that out of the equation, then like there's less pressure, and I feel like she's going to be open to it then, open to connecting with her then. But yeah, I feel like that's how she feels about her. She feels like for everyone's safety and everyone's convenience and professionalism, we're gonna keep at that distance. Interesting. So yeah, I feel like their falling out got worse than before, than worse than I thought. But more like in the sense of like I'm getting like juvenile, like how like when you fight with your sister and stuff, like, and you don't wanna apologize, right? And then it gets so long and you forget what you guys were even mad about, but because you want the other person to apologize, and like they're both wanting the other person to apologize, and so nobody apologizes. So it's kind of giving like that. Like it wasn't like a huge like disrespectful uh event where like they're gonna fight and hate each other forever. It's more so something small like that, like it feels petty. It feels petty, but like, something petty could turn into something that like it could end friendships, if you let it. So so yeah, that's how it is. She recognizes that it's petty, but at the same time it's like she recognizes how 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 I guess how their personalities, like they're the type of people, like both people, like they don't want to back down, right? Both of them are the type of people who don't want to back down. And like both of them are the type to be like, no, I want you to apologize first, or I want you to acknowledge it first. And because she can recognize that, she's like, we're better off just keeping it cordial for now. Nice. Nice. So how does Rose feel about Lisa? How does Rose feel about Lisa? One card, please. How does Rose feel about Lisa? Okay, that was like too much. Too much. Ooh, but look. So this card flipped over. This was the only one that was upright. So we're gonna go with that one. And we got in reverse. Slowing down in reverse. Interesting. So it's also reminding me of Jennie's card for Rosé, which she got Jennie's card for Rosé, which was impatience, or it was patience in reverse. Interesting. So it's like Rosé kind of feels similar about Lisa, for with like how in terms of you're kind of making moves for your career that are good in the now, but are they going to be good in the long term? Like maybe you need to think a little bit more about that. Like, So I'm also getting that's how she feels in her career. That's what I was picking up at first, but she also feels a deeper layer and when it's not in her career. So she kind of feels like what I'm getting is like it's like I see Rosé like they're in a car like about to go hang out together, and like she Rose is reaching out to her as Lisa is like running out the door of the cab or whatever. She's like, oh, you know what, I have to go. She's like on her phone. Lisa's on her phone. She's like, I have to go. Okay, bye, Rose. Um, and like if I see that like happening over and over again, and so I feel like Rose feels like Lisa doesn't have a lot of time for her, or she feels like she's investing too not investing too much in her career, because of course like they all believe that they need to invest, you know, their very best into their career. But I just feel like she feels like she doesn't want to invest in their friendship. Rose feels like Lisa doesn't want to take the time to connect in their friendship. Or maybe Rose feels like Lisa doesn't want to connect in any friendships in general because she's so focused on her career and going solo. So it's kind of maybe Rose kind of feels like Lisa is a little bit like more excited, a lot more excited than the other girls to do solo things. And it's like, you know, she gets it. She's like, everyone's excited. Everyone, like, that's always been the goal from even when before when we were trainees. Like, that was always the hope and the dream is to be successful solo. Um, so she, you know, she understands that, but at the same time, she kind of feels like, well, you don't forget about us, you know, like are you gonna forget about us, you know. She kind of feels like a little bit left behind, or she feels fearful that when Lisa gets all successful in her solo career that she's gonna completely leave them behind, because yeah, like I was saying before, like yeah, they understand that everybody is excited and everyone's goal has always been a solo career, but at the same time, like we're, you know, I'm still making my efforts to connect with you. I'm still making my efforts to reach out and to whatnot, but you're not making the same. So she kind of feels like, yeah. So I'm getting it's like the same energy from how Jennie sees Rosé. So it's interesting that Rosé is kind of judging Lisa for this, but Jennie sees this same behavior in Rosé. So that's very interesting. Yeah, so Rose is kind of feeling like Jennie's no. Rose is feeling like Lisa is being impatient. Maybe Jennie. What did Jennie get for Lisa? What did Jennie get for Lisa? Not tuned in. Okay. Mm, yeah, so Jennie kind of feels like no. Oh my god. Sorry. Okay, so Rose feels like Lisa's in that same energy of like she's being a little bit impatient in her career, and she kind of feels like Jennie, she can see the underneath the deeper layer, and she can see that, oh, this is coming from a place of fear. This is coming from a place of fear that like you're gonna miss your opportunity, and so you're gonna rush. But she kind of feels like, girl, you're not gonna miss your opportunity. Like your best times are ahead of you, like the rainbow. Your best times are ahead of you, and like it's always gonna be there. No one can ever take that away from you. So, you know, you go ahead and you slow down, take your time, enjoy yourself a little bit more. So yeah, maybe Rose is just a little bit worried about her in that sense, and you know, kind of feeling like, oh, sad that you know, missing her as a friend as well, missing her as a friend because I feel like maybe they all seen her a lot less, or they all feel a little bit disconnected from her in her solo career ever since, you know, their endeavors in their what do you call it, their debut in their solo career. Interesting. All right, now we're gonna get into our girl Lisa. How does Lisa feel about Jennie? Like Jennie. How does Lisa feel about Jennie? The dream, you fucking guys, isn't this crazy? Like literally all the girls feel the same way about Jennie. It's insane. And they view her so highly. And guys, I have to say, like it has to be because Jennie sees herself so highly. She has this self-assurance. She exudes this self-assurance. And it's probably because she's worked through her own inner insecurities, her own obstacles, right? Because we're our own worst enemies. She's worked through that, and that's why she's so in tune to her emotions, and that's why she's able to see deeper into like, oh, Jisoo is projecting at me. She's able to see that because she's worked through that. And I think that that's why all the other girls see her so highly, because she sees herself so highly. And so I just love that, because it's just a beautiful reminder, guys, that like even for the people at the top, right? Like no matter who you are, where you come from, what you're doing, like the key to your success, the key to your happiness is always tied to your self love, your self perception, your identity, and your self beliefs in what you believe that you're worthy of achieving or receiving. Ashe. So, Lisa sees her as once again the it girl, like the dream, the ideal person. Like, I want to be like Jennie. Like, that's why I was singing it. Like, her song started playing in my head again when I was flipping the cards, just like with Rosé, because so the fact that it wasn't playing with Jisoo, I feel like Lisa and Rose, they kind of feel more like they idealize her more than Jisoo, right? Because Jisoo kind of has that like, she gets away with a little bit more, like whatever, I don't get it, like it's not fair, but yeah, so that makes sense. That's why the other girls, they both got that song playing in my head, like they want to be like Jennie, like, and it's not like, oh, I want to be like her because I hate myself. It's more so like she's the blueprint to like being an idol. Like they feel like Jennie's got it figured out, like because they all have the same dream, so it makes sense that like they have somebody, they look at somebody like, I'm sure like if she wasn't in their group, they would look at her like that as well, because I'm sure like every star or every professional like looks at somebody in their industry and in their profession as like a role model, right? Or like, oh, this is somebody I want to be doing it like, right? Like to model your decisions or your dreams after, right? When you're figuring out who you want to be and how you want to live, right? And so it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that. It's very interesting, very, very interesting. This card is also giving me like Jennie triggers the parts in Lisa that doesn't feel good enough, because I was really being drawn to like this character and how the energy this character is giving is like she doesn't feel good enough because her hands are tied, she feels powerless, hopeless, she's slouching, she doesn't feel good enough or worthy, right? She sees somebody else as that. So I feel like Jennie triggers that part in Lisa, but I'm also getting drawn to the 6 years, so it's like Lisa does try to like redirect that energy into like positive, so she it gets triggered in her, and she doesn't try to like blame Jennie. She doesn't try, she tries hard like not to like use it as a means to like compare herself and hate herself, right? She wants to use it as like, okay, well, how can I make myself better, how can I make myself better? So that's healthy. That's healthy. Yeah, so Jennie is like her inspiration. Jennie is like her muse in a way. I'm getting, what would Jennie do? She asked herself, what would Jennie do? Like, it sounds a little bit weird, but I don't know. I'll share it. Like, even my boyfriend, he kind of sweetly said, like, he gave me advice for something, and I was like, oh, that's so sweet. That was really helpful. And he said, oh, I just thought to myself, what would you say? And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. And he has mentioned to me before about how he looks up to me and how he kind of feels like I, I'm I'm better than him in a way because and that's not the truth, right? That's just how he feels because we're at such different levels energetically and emotionally, right? I feel like we're at different levels of emotional intelligence, and therefore, right, like I'm able to see things or call things out more often or at a deeper level than he does. And because he's not at that level, it doesn't even occur to him. And in fact, it can kind of feel like an attack. It can kind of feel like an attack because he doesn't even think that way. And so he's like, why are you bringing it up, right? Um, right. So it feels like that similar energy of like, I look up to you, but because I look up to you so much, right? It's just a reflection of like how I feel so lowly in myself, right? And this is something that Jennie can understand and see past. And I feel like Lisa has this understanding in herself as well, but she keeps it to herself. She keeps it to herself and she tries to like, heal it within herself and to like frame it in a healthier perspective, right? But it is still there, like this feeling of like not being good enough is still there. And it's interesting because I feel like, right, all the other girls, like Jennie, like even outside of the group, like Jennie is painted to be as like the it girl and the favorite, the leader and whatnot. And so I feel like it's natural for all the other girls to feel like when you're in this constant hierarchy and like you have this huge like fandom, like fame is like a reflection, right, on just like a huge scale of like judgment, right? And so okay, right, and so like they're constantly being put through this reflection of comparison. And so I just think that that's totally natural, and I think it's beautiful to point out the fact that like these girls are at the top, like they're the number one K-pop group, like they're branching out like into the western as number one as well, above BTS, right? So they're really they're in their prime of like what society would call success. And at the same time, it's beautiful to point out and see how these girls, like, there's a lot of fears there. There's a lot of fears. There's still a lot of insecurities and like that influence the decisions that they make and the way that they see each other and how they feel, right? So even though they're at the top of they're at the peak, they could, be at the peak in their careers. They're still right. Like it's not as glamorous as they paint it out to be or as like the world paints it out to be. Like it's not as glamorous. And so I feel like that brings a lot of comfort to me. I hope that brings a lot of comfort to you watching this as well, that like that like everybody has to deal with this. And so, and so like that proves no matter who you are, what you're doing, like the key is to turn within, to turn within. Right? And Jennie knows this, and you look about that. Jennie is the one who knows that and has that key, and that's why she's the one who's shining the most, even to the people within her group. Right? And it's really not because Jennie's better. It's really just because like there she's already healed. Jennie's probably already healed, right? We're never going to be fully healed, right, guys? But she's probably already really like faced and come to terms with like that fear and that wound that she might not be good enough. Yeah. And the other girls, they're not as in tune to their emotions. And so that fear is still there, still, being awakened and still asking to be heard and seen so that it can be healed. Right. And so this is something that we all have. This is something that we all have. And as long as we like embrace it and love ourselves through it, parent ourselves through it, nurture ourselves through it, like that's healing, that's transmuting, that's magic. And That's how we become the best versions of ourselves, and that's all it takes. Like, we can be like Jennie, right? We can be at the top. We can be a it girl if we see ourselves as it girls. And it's not just seeing yourself as an it girl. It's not just seeing that you can be an it girl. It's seeing that you're just as worthy of being an it girl. You're just as worthy if you are an it girl versus if you're not an it girl. You're still worthy. You know what I mean? Like, it's having that self-confidence that, like, either way, you love yourself unconditionally, either way, no matter the outcome, no matter the external events. You love yourself unconditionally. And that is a key. And I love that even in this K-pop reading of how they feel about each other, like, that is always the message. And that's always the message that I want to drive home, like, no matter what reading I do. And, like, it's amazing. Like, that's, like, when you get to the core of things, that's always the message. Hi guys, so this is me and realizing when editing that I forgot to pick a card for Lisa, how she feels about Jisoo and Rosé. And I wonder if that has any spiritual significance. Like, she's not as close. Like, she's really not that close with, or has like a surface level relationship with the other two as opposed to Jennie, especially because she thought so highly of Jennie. Or, I could have just been in a rush, right? So let's see. And I could have just forgotten. That's first what's coming to mind is Jisoo. How Lisa feels about Jisoo. How does Lisa feel about Jisoo? I always find it more fun and satisfying when they just pop out and fly out, even if it takes a long time. I'm looking for just one card to fly out. Okay, this one fell out on its own. Ooh. There we go. Which is interesting because I remember for Jennie's card, I talked about how, yeah, for Lisa's card for Jennie, I talked about how Jennie triggers that part in herself that doesn't feel good enough. And, I was thinking about that and I was like, yeah, like, it's insecurities. Everybody has insecurities, and it's like, it's not even about that other person, right? It's not even personal, but it's like, it's it's not personal, it's interpersonal. You know what I mean? It's not personal, but it's personal. You know what I mean? And it's like, it could be anybody that, like, it's not just Jennie that, like, makes her feel that way. You know what I mean? Like, it could be anybody that represents what she thinks is that ideal, or anybody that, like, reflects that trigger. That. And so it's very interesting that who am I doing this for? Jisoo. That Jisoo does that for her as well. And the first thing that just came to my mind is probably because she is the visual and she fits the Korean beauty standard. That's what I heard. Um, and I feel like Lisa has silently suffered a lot of, like, hate behind the scenes, and publicly as well, for being the foreigner in the group, especially because she's really the only one, because Rose, like, she is American, but she also is also Korean, so she is going to be more accepted by the people. And yeah, I think that really affects, this card is indicating that really affects Lisa, because Jisoo is that kind of trigger for her, I guess. And it's in regards to beauty as well, because I'm getting attracted to the way that this girl looks, and she's very done up, very feminine. Yeah, that maybe that's a specific trigger for her as well, the femininity. She wants to be seen that way because, by the people. I feel like, because she feels that way inside and she wants that outside validation. And so Jisoo is that trigger for her. And then I'm getting drawn to what it says on the bottom of the card here. What you contemplate, you can actualize. And so again, like I said with Jennie, like it's coming to mind that she really, she's like a magician. She just like transmutes the energy. She makes the efforts to like stare at the reflection, right? I'm looking at the man in the mirror, woman in the mirror, she's a new woman. These are just the things that come to mind, right? And she's doing that a lot, and because she wants to, like, she's working on that like self-love. She's working on like becoming that. She wants to be that it girl. She wants to like be so successful in her solo career, and that's why she's working on herself so much like this. And so she uses that trigger and the insecurities, and she transmutes it into like healing, right? It's just like awareness, awakening. It's like she has that understanding that, yeah, yep, she has that understanding that it's just bringing to her awareness what needs to be healed, right? And then she heals it. She's very good practicing self love right now. Yeah, I'm getting drawn to the number 16 as well, right? And so it's like that analogy that I used earlier. Like she feels like Jisoo is very youthful. I don't know. Maybe she feels like Jisoo is kind of immature. Maybe because Jisoo kind of judges her for how like sexual that Lisa is, growing into. Like she's embracing her sexuality, and like maybe Jisoo kind of judges her for that because she's more of a conservative type, is what I'm picking up. And that's kind of, ooh, yep, that's kind of what I got in a KLD. I remember hearing in the KLD reading. She gave that as an analogy. She was like, I'm not saying that's what they are, but she gave that as an analogy that Jisoo was like conservative, and like um, Lisa was a non-conservative one or traditional woman, and then, they have disagreements on like how they live their life because of that. Yeah, so that's totally what I'm getting. Very interesting, very interesting. So I feel like also I'm getting called to the reflection, like they have a very surface level connection is what I'm getting. Yeah, so that confirms, yep, that confirms what I was getting at the beginning as like, like why it didn't really occur to my head when I was doing the original reading, and I just like skipped to the next question. So yep, that's validating their spiritual significance to that. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to how Lisa feels about Rosé. How does Lisa feel about Rosé? How does Lisa feel about Rosé? Ooh, adrift. Very similar to like how Jisoo feels about Rosé. I have such good memory, guys, with the cards. Okay, anyways. 27. I'm getting attracted to the number 27. Are they 27 years old? I don't know. Ooh, sorry, I don't know. But I remember that they're like the same age in the group, I think. And that's like something that, the fandom says they bond over. But maybe this card is indicating that they do. Maybe that's like the only thing that they bond over, and that's why they're like not very close. And maybe Rosé has her walls up with Lisa as well, and that's why she. Oh, yeah, it says right there, letting go, allowing a higher force to take charge for a time. So maybe just like Jisoo, or was it Rosé? Or they're waiting for like maybe when we're not, maybe when the group finally disbands, then our relationship will get better, right? Like when it's not a factor in our success because we kind of have a rocky relationship. Yeah, like the waters here are like gray, like uh, in the middle of a storm, like they have a rocky relationship, like tumultuous. Like maybe like her and Jisoo, like there's bubbles here, it's boiling, like they get like hot headed. They're hot headed with each other, they butt heads a lot for some reason. Let's get into why. Let's get into why. So why do they butt heads a lot? Why does Lisa and Rose butt heads a lot? Choice. It's all about choices, all right? It's all about personality differences and like judging each other for the choices that they make in their life or in their career, and it's just like being different, right? Because they're so different and they're just like they can't really click. I guess it's just at some point when your personalities are so different. Oh, I'm not getting my crown. So at some point when your personalities are so different, it's like nobody is really in the wrong, right? Nobody's really in the wrong. It's just like they just have a hard they're having a hard time finding ways or things to like relate to and connect on when you're so different. And that you let alone you can't even understand each other, Now I'm getting attracted to the number at the top, 35, and like the reflection in the water. So it's like telling me like Lisa um, kind of judges Rosé's vision for her future and her career. She kind of feels like that's murky waters. Like I don't know, I'm not really seeing the vision, but good luck to you. A little bit shady, I guess. Yeah, and I guess it's a little bit shady. I was picking up because they must have, yeah, for them to just rather stay apart and keep a distance, it must have really gotten bad. It must have gotten into similar falling out with Jisoo where it affected the group. Very interesting. So she's really only close with Jennie, and the other two, it's like she's intentionally keeping a distance from, I feel like. Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking in my head, okay, anything else to say about Rosé? And then what I saw was like Lisa standing like leaning on her hip, like sassy attitude with her arms crossed and like rolling her eyes. And then Rosé shows up and like stands next to her on the side. She does the same, and they're like turning their back to each other. So what is that trying to say? Like maybe it's trying to say that they're petty, like they're choosing to be petty, like they could overcome this and they could have a good friendship regardless of whatever happened, but they're both choosing not to. They're both choosing to hold on to a grudge and not forgive the other, not forgive the other for whatever judgments or misunderstanding, and like that creates more judgments and misunderstanding, and they're kind of just like there's just like they both built up this huge wall that like neither of them wants to knock down, you know. Interesting, interesting. But I guess there was hopes that in the future things would get better when there's less pressure on their friendship. Yeah, yeah. I'm getting on both sides. I'm getting on both sides. Yeah, because it's petty. It's like I'm sure, like they're both grown. I'm sure they both know subconsciously that it's petty and that right now they're probably just overwhelmed with everything that they got going on. That like, yeah, it's petty, but I don't have time to like work this out and have a sit down and like process my emotions, let alone with somebody else. Like I need to focus. I need to drive. Like now's the time. Rush, rush, rush. Rose and Lisa are both in a rush, rush, rush. Right. Anyways, okay, very interesting. Okay, thank you for watching, and sorry for the cut. And moving on to back to the next question. Okay, so I guess I wanted to get into my next question was how they feel about their career currently. So how each member feels about their own career currently, because like we got into in the earlier piles about how they feel about each other, right? A lot of the differences anyway just come from having a difference in personality, and your personality is only based on like your experiences, the collective, experiences of like your entire life, right? And that's why we all have such different personalities, because none of us could ever have the same collection of experiences in our life exactly, right? So like when it comes down to like, well, that's the only reason that we have our differences, that's inevitable. And it's kind of like irrelevant in a way, right? Because it's like, your trauma is yours, your opinion is your opinions are kind of based on your trauma, your experiences. And so that's why it's like not personal at all. Even when you think it's personal, even when that person says, hey, it's you, it's your fault, it's like not really your fault, right? Like it's bringing up something in their childhood that made them feel this type of way, to where they feel so strongly about what you did or said, you know and it's like, yeah. So I feel like it doesn't really make sense for me to ask how they feel about each other's career, because that's kind of like, it's just judgment that's like irrelevant to each other's career. It's like, oh, that's just your opinion. But like, of course, like I was saying with the other cars, right? Like even they can understand, like, that's just my opinion, but like, of course, you're free to live your life how you want, and like you should be able to. um yeah, so we're just going to ask how each member feels about their own career, like if how they feel. Are they satisfied with their current trajectory, and with their current career path? Okay, so first I'm gonna start with Rosé. Rosé, how does she feel about her career and her solo career? How does she feel about her solo career? How does Rosé feel about her solo career? Her career as an individual, and it doesn't have to just be solo music, but her career as an individual. How does Rosé feel about her career? Right, because I know UGC is not just in music, so just individual career in general. Oh, my nose has been so itchy, so I really feel like that means I'm channeling. All right, guys, we're about to get into it. We're channeling something here. How does Rosé feel about her career? Because don't you want me like I want you, baby? Yeah, the fact that it's coming into my head, woo. Well, at first I was like, ooh, she's having fun with it. Like, I feel like that's her goal. She's having fun with it. But we got these cards in reverse here. Which is, what is that? Suppression and trust in reverse. Ooh, I'm channeling something. Okay, so I feel with this lack of trust card, it's kind of reminding me of the other card that I pulled for like how Jennie saw Rosé in the patience reverse, right? And so I feel like the universe is like validating that card, that Jennie's perspective. Even though it is her perspective, there's truth to it. There's objective truth to that perspective, because maybe that's why Jennie is kind of judging her for that, because she could see the deeper layer into why she's being so impatient, and it's coming from a lack of trust in herself. Like it's coming from fear, right? You move fearfully, you move quickly and in a rush, because you're fearful, right? That you're gonna miss your moment, right? And so, I feel like it is true that what I was getting earlier is that she is trying to have fun with it, because here we have the suppression in reverse card, right? So it's like she's tired, right? That's why the album was called Rosie, because she's tired of having to suppress her authentic self. She's tired of having to be a product. Yeah, a product. And she wants to be her authentic self. But because that's something that they were never allowed to do in like the entirety of their career, she naturally, like, what comes up is the fear and the lack of trust in herself. It's like she wants so badly to do this, but she doesn't trust herself, and that's why she's just, shooting from the hips and seeing what sticks. So it's like she's scared. It's like she wants to take that gamble on herself. She wants to bet on herself and invest in herself. And she's just scared. She's just scared that it's not gonna come to fruition, that she's not gonna be able to reach that same sort of peak and high level of success on her own. She's afraid that it's gonna plateau. It's like she wants to be somebody she wants to keep her place at the top. I feel like she has a strong passion for music. It's like she doesn't want to do anything else. She doesn't want to do anything else. And so this is what she has a passion for. Like, this is, this is her true authentic self. And that's why she's done with that. She's done with the suppression, and it's time for a new beginning. It's time for a new version of herself, the real self. Right, and I'm getting number one girl. That's why she chose to be so vulnerable with that song. And it was giving me chills. And it's so powerful. It's so powerful to find your power in your vulnerability. Because that's true power. That's true power, is to be able to be vulnerable and find strength in that. Because it's authentic. Because you're validating, you're acknowledging your own emotions. And you do it anyway. You love yourself anyway. You keep going anyway. Yeah, yeah. So that's where I feel like Rosé is in her career right now, where she's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm so scared, and I'm not sure it's gonna work out. And I know I'm not doing it in the best way, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And that's beautiful. And like, that's how you figure things out, right? If you keep holding yourself back from, like, and always postponing your dreams and your goals for the reasons of, like, it's not the right time, it's not the ideal environment, it's not the ideal time, or whatever reason, and you're just going to keep pushing it off, then it's more likely not going to happen, right? And so it's really good and healthy that she does this, and it's only natural that, like, these fears are coming up, and I believe that she's going to work through them. Like, this is how she works through them, right? Like, sometimes you got to get a little messy. Get a little messy. Sometimes you got to get a little ugly. You got to cry. You got to get a little rain to get to the sunshine, right? And that's what Rose is embracing right now in her career. Interesting. It's like she's embracing herself as well. It's like she's embracing her emotions. She's embracing her true, like, who am I really? Who am I on my own, outside of Blackpink, outside of, like, my label? Who do I want to be? Who does my heart and soul want to be, if it doesn't factor into, like, profit margins and sales and all of these things that other people are expecting and depending on me for, about all of these expectations I have to live up to. If all of that is out of the equation, who do I want to be? It's like, that's the space she's in her career right now. So I feel like that's really good. That's healthy, and, like, I feel like she can't help but she won't be able to help but be happy and be fulfilled with what she's doing when you make your decisions with those intentions. So that's beautiful. Right, so I feel like, it's not going ideally. It's not going ideally right now, but at the same time, she feels like she's really following her heart, and she knows and trusts that that's what she needs to do. Even though she's scared and she doesn't trust herself, even though, right, you do it anyway. And I think that that is a true act of self-love. She's learning what self-love is. She's embodying it, and she's projecting it, putting it into her music and making it art. right? Making it authentic art, right? And not just a catchy, trendy thing. Uh, and so it's beautiful. Like she's very proud of herself, I feel, because I feel like I feel like I'm proud of her, and so I feel like she feels pride. Like she feels like I know things are a little bit messy or whatever right now, but like this, I need to do it this way to feel proud of myself. Yeah. Okay. So next is, how does Lisa feel about her career? How does Lisa feel about her career? Her solo career doesn't have to only be music. How does she feel about her career? Ooh, fuck up the world, fuck up the world. I think I just might. Ooh, she wants to be that one. She wants to be that girl. Like in the scenario I was trying to describe earlier, the analogy of like Lisa and Jisoo getting ready to go somewhere, and like Jisoo dressing all like cutesy and youthful, and then Lisa dressing all like sexy and mature, right? It's like she kind of likes having that contrast. She likes being the one to be like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna do it this way, and it's like it's very healing for her spiritually, internally, emotionally, and that's why she's doing it, because she feels so empowered when she does it, and that's why she's the one in the group who's being more sexual, and it is her choice. It is her choice, but you know, I don't know if I exactly agree with it, but I don't agree with like slut shaming and covering up in the name of um triggering men, and because men can't control their own sexual urges. No, I don't believe that either, right? But at the same time, I believe, you know, what are your reasons? What is the why that you're doing it? And her why is because she feels sorry, and her why is because she feels empowered doing so. And I feel like you only feel empowered in objectifying yourself when you've been so oppressed, right? Suppressed, Rose. Like everyone in the K-pop industry, you know, everyone in the world, like we've all been suppressed and oppressed, you know, but especially particularly in the K-pop industry, like in comparison to like Western artists, there is not much individuality. Like that's why, like, oh, I remember like seeing that post for Twice being the first girl group to headline for Lollapalooza, and like they're posting about it, and they're like, oh my god, look at Twice, how cute! Like they're bringing back like classic K-pop, like OG stuff, because like they were all wearing matching outfits, like exactly the same, basically. And like the fact that that's classic K-pop, like it tells you like conformity was number one. You know, like conforming to the ideal, it is still number one, right? But with the Western influence, individuality is getting a little bit more popular and accepted and trendy. So they're hopping on that trend, you know. But I don't think they really support it, you know, behind the scenes. Like if it didn't support, if the fans didn't like it, right, they wouldn't do it, right? Um, but Lisa would, you know. Lisa would, just because everyone else right behind the scenes was telling her not to. Right, and so this is something that they deal with, all K-pop idols deal with since trainee days, and even when they're at the top and the peak. Like they're dealing with it now. Like they don't feel free. They don't feel that's why they're called idols and not artists, because they're not allowed, they're not encouraged to have that creativity, that individuality, and that creative control, right? It's like a lot of the idols who want to have that creative control, right? Some of them, they're more so are able to now, but you know, even now it's like scarce, right? And because there's a lot of them, and I think Rose is one of them as well, where they did want to write. There's a lot of idols who do want to write, um, and they write good stuff and they give it to their people. It gets approved and accepted. But what do? They sell it to another artist, or or they just scrap the project altogether, or they don't even give them any credit. And I think that happens a lot. I think that happens a lot. Ugh. And I think that's why it feels so good for Lisa to be like this contrast, this huge contrast, right? Um, to the ideal, to K-pop. And so I feel like, ooh, she's really, she. It's like she wants to merge. She wants to merge Western culture with the K-pop culture, because there's more freedom in it. And particularly, that's why, and she finds empowerment in that, and that's true. Especially when you've never felt that, and when you've been so restrictive, and you've been so oppressed and held back, and pressured to conform, right? It can feel so good. It can feel so good to, right? Once you free yourself, you don't want to go back. And it's like this analogy where, I mean, I forgot who, but it was somebody on YouTube who was sharing their experience with essay, and um, it happened when they were a child, and they grew up to be a promiscuous young woman, and or a teenager, and then they grew up to be a young woman who went into sex work, and you know, like, this was coming from a person, and or her stage in life. At that point, she's sharing her past experiences, but she's like, well, now I'm a Christian, you know, which I don't really agree with. I feel like that's one form of oppression to another, but at the same time, I can acknowledge that, because even she admitted herself, right? Even she admitted herself, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, like, it felt good, like, when I was in those, um, you know, sex work environments, like, it felt good to have that ownership of my body, and because it felt like I was taking my power back, like, I was the one who was saying, I'll take the money for you to touch me now. Like, I'm in control. Like, I'm letting you touch me, and I'm getting benefiting from it as well. So it helped to give them that feeling of that autonomy, on their body back. Of course, it didn't have to be done that way, but when you're so hurt, right? Sometimes you got to go through not the best way to figure out what the best way is, right? And so it's kind of giving, like that's what that is for her. Like, yeah, she might not be making the best choice for herself, like, wearing like the fully nude tights and underwear, so that it could really give that so it can really give that more like sexualized image. um it may not be the healthiest thing to do as an individual, and or for your career, because it's attracting the wrong, it's a not like it's the wrong kind of attention, but you got to ask yourself, is that really the attention that you want to attract? People who only want to lust after you and stuff and whatnot. But then again, like, that's something that you come to after you get into this stage, right? It's like sometimes you have to reach that stage of like, oh, now I feel empowered, and like, oh wait, is this really empowerment? you know because it is empowerment, because it it's true that it is empowerment. It may not be the highest level of empowerment, but it is empowerment higher from where you were. So of course it feels that way, even though it might not be the highest and the best. So I feel like that's where it's coming. Like, she wants to step into her dark feminine more. She wants to, because the dark feminine has been demonized, and it shouldn't be, right? And the dark feminine is really just like, your everything that you feel insecure about, and your sexuality, and everything that every part of you that's been shamed, every part of you that's been told that it's not good enough, and that it needs to hide, and that, etc., etc., right? It's like breaking through those chains. like that's how she's viewing her career right now. So I feel like her album and her career is very like cathartic for her. Doing this whole thing has been very cathartic because she's been able to tap into that darker energy, that little rougher energy, instead of always having to be, you know, cute and proper and prim or whatever all the time. You know, it's freeing. It's freeing when you have to be one way all the time and you're told that this part of yourself is not acceptable. And then it's so freeing and empowering to tap into that part and to finally accept it, to finally embrace it. Yeah, so she's really enjoying that right now, and I'm really happy for her. I'm really happy for her. I feel like she's really happy with herself, and it's not like a Sabrina Carpenter effect where like, oh, I'm so happy that I'm pissing people off because it gets me more famous. It's more in the sense of like, this is like healing for my soul. Like I don't care if it pisses other people off because this is healing for me. This makes me feel empowered as an individual, like no matter what people think. And so that is so beautiful. That's so beautiful. I'm so happy for her. Right? It's like she wants to carry her own torch. She wants to carry her own torch and like and be her own cheerleader and be like, I really am that girl. Yeah, yeah. I'm getting called to the bird too. So I feel like uh, she's been guided. She's been guided to do this, and so I feel like she's tapped into her spirituality in a way. And she, like her spirit guides. She's asking her spirit guides to guide her, and they've been leading her. They've been guiding, leading her to be more her authentic self. And I think that that's like the goal for all of us. Like no matter what profession that we're in, like that's how we are our most happiest and successful selves as well, when we're our most authentic. And whew, she's like kicking the door. Was that Jennie's part? Whatever. Like, or maybe if it was Jennie's part, maybe that makes sense because she wants to be like Jennie, right? And she wants to finally see herself as that girl, right? And so she feels like this is what she's called to do, to be more of her authentic self, even if that means looking like the odd one out, looking like the ugly one. Like what's being called to mind is like that one time where like they were all that 8-year anniversary event that they had, and like everyone was wearing cute pretty dresses, but like she was in this like pirate ruffle masculine looking outfit, and like everyone was like, or this the interviewer was like, oh, you all look so pretty, and then like Lisa turned to Lisa and like something awkward and like kind of rude backhanded like that happened, and like you could see like the annoyance on her face and everything. And I feel like that moment is coming to my head for a reason. Like it's like triggering her, like well, you know, I didn't like, of course I didn't like being like the ugly one in the group, but I did like the reason why she dressed up that way is because she wanted to be the one to stand out. She wanted to be the one who's different. She wanted to be the one who's not afraid to be a little masculine, right? Like because around that culture, right, it's like you got to be pretty. You want to be pretty and feminine and soft and quiet, and you know, if you're going to be loud, rebellious and a masculine woman, then you know that's like ew. Right? And so I felt like all moments like that. There's a lot of moments like that in her career that made her be like, well, you know what? When I have the freedom to, I'm gonna go even harder. I'm gonna go even 10 toes down. I'm gonna, you know, like with Britney shaving her head. It's like, yeah. So maybe she's gonna go even. Maybe she's gonna go even more tomboy, or maybe she's gonna go even more sexier in her career. Like, yeah, I feel like she's just really gonna push. She's really gonna push the edges. She's really gonna push the boundaries. She likes to push the boundaries of what people expect of her, because it reminds her that like you can't define me. You can't define me. Like I'm all of these things. I was that, and now I'm this. I'm this now, and I can also be that now. You know, she likes that. She likes that, right? A lot of change. She likes embracing a lot of the change, and a lot of the people around her have not embraced that. And right? And that's made her feel like she can't be her true self, right? Like, and so that's why it feels all the more enlightening, invigorating to be that rebel, to break free, to stand out. That's beautiful and powerful. Ah, healing. I'm getting a lot of healing energies for her, for Lisa. So it's very beautiful. So who is next? So who I did, that's Lisa. I did Rosé. Okay, so now how does Jennie feel about her solo career? How does Jennie feel about her solo career? Huh? So like those two cards fell out, but then I also got this card that was face up in the deck. The only face up card in the deck. So I'll take that too. So this is the face up one, possibilities. Oh, my nose is so itchy. So I'm channeling more and more, you guys. All right. All right, listen up. This is truth. Ooh, possibilities. And like the eagle. I feel like Jennie is also tapped into her spirituality as well. Ooh, with the song Zen. Yeah. And she and her, in tune to her emotions, following her passions. She's definitely tapped into her spirituality in some way. And I'm only bringing it up because um, just like with Lisa, I feel like it's been a strong deciding factor in in her career, right? Like she speaks to her guides, her ancestors. Like maybe I feel like Lisa speaks to her guides more, spirit guides, and Jennie speaks more to her ancestors about like guidance in her life and her career. And maybe she even does a little magic work with them or something, to help to open the land of opportunities, right? Because we got possibilities, right? So she's very hopeful. She's very excited. She's very open, and it's like, I'm ready to do the work. I'm ready to put it in. Like, I'm gonna make it happen. Like, that's the energy. Very confident, very self assured. Jennie is in her career. So she's really looking to the future. Like, she's really looking to the future. And maybe that's why she was kind of judging the other girls for the decisions in their careers, because she's like, okay, you guys are looking at the now a little bit too much. And because I don't, like I said that earlier, she was thinking that, okay, that might be good for now, but not in the future, So she's a type to really think about the future, and that's her goal in mind, right? She's also thinking about making her a substantial, a long lasting, successful career for herself as well. She doesn't want to just be, right, because the K pop industry, it's very like, because everyone is just like a product versus individuals and artists, right? Everyone just like can be so easily replaced, and everyone is just fitting an image instead of like actually doing what they want. And so, of course, they can be easily replaced. And yeah, that's why I feel like there's such a strong focus on authenticity for all of these girls. Yeah, because they don't want to do that, because they see themselves at number one right now, and they don't want to fall from the top, right? They want to make it last. They see themselves as number one, and they're like, how they're focused on how to make this success last for the rest of their lives, instead of just like in their prime 20s to 30s, age that idols are usually successful in, right? Like once you hit your 30s, it's done, right? So like they're kind of creeping up to that age, creeping up. They're reaching that age soon, and so that's where their focus is how do I make a successful K-pop idol career beyond the ages in which they said that I can't, you know? Right. And so she's like, I'm gonna be the one to do it. I'm gonna be one of those people to do it. Very confident, very self-assured. Interesting. So we have reverse. We have celebration in reverse. And the fact that it's three other girls, maybe she feels like the other girls are not as happy for her as she wants them to be, or she feels unhappy that the other girls are like they're not able to go with her. Like maybe she feels scared or she feels sad. Like she sees all the possibilities ahead, but she feels sad that she can't take them with her. She kind of feels sad that like, oh, I guess this is the point in our journey where we go our separate ways. You know, she kind of feels sad about that. Yeah. Yeah, she's very like nostalgic, reminiscent over the old days. It's not like she wishes that it could be that way again, or it's not like she wishes she could go back to the time. She wishes that they could evolve together, is what I'm getting. It's like she wishes kind of like that Blackpink could evolve together as a future in the future. Like I was saying, like everything cycles out in the K-pop industry and has such a short like life expectancy. And so it's like she can see a lot of the opportunities for her as for herself, right? But she's sad that there's not much room for those possibilities as a group in the future, right? Like the industry, right? Like they're telling them all like, hey, your time is up as a group, you know, like because it's just time. It's just, like, right, people don't do it for this long, and so people want younger and fresher, right? So we're giving up on you. And so she's kind of sad about that because she feels like it doesn't have to be that way, but that's the way that it's always been, so I guess it's not really possible. Ooh, understanding upright, right? She understands that like she may not have the power to freaking change the entire industry, especially in time enough for like her generation to feel the fruits of the labor, right? So it's like, even though she's sad about it, she understands that maybe it's even the best for everyone else. It's better for everyone involved for us to go our own separate ways in our solo endeavors, right? And you see how she's the only one left in the cage, and everyone else flew out the cage. So it's kind of like Jennie. Maybe she's the one who feels the closest bond with everyone and who's had the fondest memories as a group. Possibly, guys, let's be honest, it's because she was held up to be the one. She was like the chosen one, right? To be like the idolized member in the group, right? The leader, the it girl. And so of course that shapes your experience into a lot more of a positive one, right? Versus as Lisa, right? She's feeling like the most suppressed one as well, probably because she was the only non-Korean member as well. So there was more layers of like conformity, expectations to conform, and more layers of like not accepting, right, who you are. Right, so that really shapes their experience. So I feel like Jennie has the most positive experience out of all of them, from their Blackpink career, and therefore that helped to influence having her the best outlook on like the group as a whole and as a member and all the members. Yeah, I also feel like Jennie, because she feels that way about everyone, and she's so self assured in herself, she's kind of like, I wanna make Blackpink last as long as it can. Like, it's not like, oh, I want to ride it till the wheels fall off to the very last drop. Like, it's more so like I just want to enjoy it while it lasts and make the most of it. And because of that, she's like, it's like your last day of school. It's like you're the teacher. I just say the teacher because like that's the one who stays behind at the school. But I'll just make it a friend so we don't get confused. Right. So it's like your friend group, let's just say like they're all siblings, so they all go together at the same time, right? And their mom's here to pick them up. So you say bye, and you're like, oh, my mom's here too, but I'll just stay here a little bit take it all in one last moment. And how when you say your goodbyes, and like sometimes, like when you don't want to say bye, you just keep saying bye, you keep turning back and waving and whatnot, and like saying bye a million times. It's like she wants to do that, or she wishes that they could. And she has that energy, like she wants to be the one to stay behind and watch everyone go. Like when you everyone comes out of the driveway to like watch somebody leave when you go on the family trip, or right when they leave, for a long time. Like you just want to see them off, and you want to, it's like it's very much that energy, like bittersweet, sad to see them go, right? But bittersweet because you understand that it's time. Um, and it's like you're looking at to see if they're still gonna wave back all the way till they're out of sight, right? You watch them all the way till they're out of sight, and they wave back, right? Because you see that one bird. There's one bird who turns back to look at him. He's like, "Are you coming? You're coming too, right?" And when I looked at that bird, the first person that came to mind was Lisa. My nose is really itchy, so yeah, I feel like Jennie has the closest relationship with Lisa. Probably just because they're the most alike in terms of personality. I feel like that's all there is to it. Um, and yeah, they have the strongest bond, and when I was looking at them, the birds looking at each other, like I got this feeling of like I know it may not be forever, but it's like, oh yeah, if you set them free, like set them free, and then if they come back, then they're yours, right? So it's like I know it's not going to be forever, but I hope they come back. But I have faith that they will. I know that we'll meet and see each other again, like later on in life. So like Jennie has this understanding and this faith, right? That like even though she knows that the group will come to an end soon, even though she knows that, yeah, she has this understanding that like, well, she at least believes that their bond is like beyond Blackpink. And she believes that, yeah, while they may not have been the best of friends, like they were more than coworkers. you know Maybe that's not how they all felt all at the same time, but bigger picture, in the end, at the end of the day, after all these years, Jennie really believes that they have a bond beyond Blackpink that is not going to just end when their contract ends. So she has a feeling that they'll always be in each other's lives, and that they'll always like get together, or at the very least her and Lisa, right? And I think that's what matters to her most, is that everyone just has a genuine bond and a genuine like good time, because they're just being their authentic selves. Yeah, I think that's what matters to her, right? The emotional connection and the bonds that she has with people, and that's why she's the most sad about. And right, and that's so interesting, right? Because I asked about her career, and really what we just got was, she's just sad about leaving Blackpink behind. At the same time, she's very excited and very hopeful and like very certain in her future on her own. And I guess that's why these stuff come up, right? Because hey, if you're not so worried about this, then there's some past stuff that comes up. Right, like, hey, if you're not so worried about your future, then, it's probably some past stuff that's coming up first. Yeah, yeah. So that's beautiful. That's beautiful. That makes a lot of sense, being that, like, we got earlier that she is such a self assured person who follows her heart and authenticity, even in her career. Oh, so that's beautiful, and that's really sweet. That's really sweet. That's interesting. So the ones who was the most like tumultuous relationship was Jisoo and Rosé. But then again, it wasn't really like that tumultuous, but it's enough to make Rosé keep her distance, to alleviate any risk. So that's interesting. And I think it was very much expected that Jennie and Lisa were the closest. I think you can just tell, right? So yeah, but at the same time, you can look at a lot of idols like being really close and whatnot, and not be able to tell that like that was all fake just for the cameras, right? And you think that they're so close, but really like they're not. So it is very interesting to find out. Very interesting to find out, and I'm interested in what you guys had expected about their dynamics and what resonated with you or what you found surprising. Hello, this is editing me back again, realizing only after the fact that I missed another question. So this is your sign that if you were holding back doing something, right, so it's so perfect that I got interrupted, right? Because this is your sign that if you have to do something messy and unplanned and like you're so lost and unsure, you're all over the place, do it anyway and keep going even if you do it messy. Because if you keep telling yourself, I'm gonna hold off for that moment where I have it all together, etc., 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 where I feel ready, then more likely than not, we're always going to be procrastinating and postponing, and to the point where it rarely ever gets done, or it's already been a year and it hasn't really been done, and so on and so forth. I know the struggle, so that's why I say keep going, fighting. I was like, I don't know why I did that, but this is a K-pop reading, so it does make sense. Fighting. I just cringed at myself, but to be cringe is to be free. Thank you for that reminder, Queen Sophia. Okay, now to the question that I missed, and this one, it was over Jisoo and how she feels about her career. And just like with the last time, I'm assuming, I have a feeling that there is some spiritual significance to the fact that I forgot it. Like maybe to Jisoo, her career, music and non-musically, is being put on the back burner in her mind, you know, and she's trying to focus on building her life outside of her career. And so let's see how true that is. How does Jisoo feel about her career? Okay, this card was already turned up, so I am going to have a fresh start and make sure it's all face down. Okay, now we're starting fresh and see what falls out. Ooh, turning in and within. So immediately when I look at this card, I see her meditating a lot. So she's also tapped into her spirituality, but not in an outward sense like with Jennie and Lisa. Like it's not in the sense like with them, it was more so speaking to spirit guides, ancestors, right, outside forces. Instead, she's turning within. She's like aware that she is the universe, and she's turning in. Right, all she needs to do to receive the answers of the universe is to turn within, and she like really understands that. I'm getting attracted here also to the floral, and to first off was the flowiness in the ripple effect, like water in her dress here. So it's like she wears her heart on her sleeve, and she is very tapped into her femininity, which means that she's also very tapped into her emotions, and I think that's why she is always so calm and cool and collected. Yeah, she's like really building up her confidence. I feel like being the one, labeled as the least liked member, the least popular member in Blackpink, like you're labeled that way outside of the group and as well as behind the scenes, because like I said, they're constantly like ranked against each other and how well that they're doing, success wise, career wise, and you know, performance wise. And so she's always been made to feel less than, and I think that that's triggered like a spiritual awakening within her to always find her happiness, her fulfillment from within. It's triggered her to. Okay, anyways, I was trying to say that it's taught her, she's learned it, it awakened it, right? It taught her, spiritual awakening, kundalini awakening.
is what I'm getting that she is going through, had already gone through. And yeah, it really taught her to find her happiness from within, to find her true like self-worth and not have it dependent or echoing or reflecting off of like any outside opinion or outside event. And yeah, it's like, ooh, it's like she's mastering herself right now, right? It's like all the voices that tell her she's not good enough, and it's like she's telling herself, despite all of that, no matter how anyone else perceives me, I am always good enough, I am always that bitch. She has such like charming, like funny, refreshing, freeing energy. Love her, love her. Yeah, I'm also getting attracted to the wrinkles here as well. So it's like, yeah, she's not really focused on her career, or she's more so like, my career will succeed after, or like once I solidify like my foundation of self-love, then like the success in the career will come with that. So that's why she's not worried about that, and she's focusing on this first. Right, it's like, because I believe that as well. I believe that that's like a universal law, and I feel like that's what she has become awakened to and is aligning with, which is to love yourself, be your authentic self, no matter how you may be perceived or rejected. And yes, very go with the flow person and very touch with her emotions. Self-mastery is her goal. Self-mastery is her goal right now. So let's get more on exactly how she feels about her career. So I feel like also she probably doesn't feel like her career is going very well. She's probably, when she thinks about her career, all she thinks about is like the naysayers and like the criticism and the critiques that everyone has to say about her. And to figure out, well, who am I? Who am I really? And is this what I really want to do? And if this is what I really want to do, how do I want to go about it? Instead of how does the executives want to go about it? How do they think, but based on their statistics and, you know, trajectory of like what and of trends and what's gonna sell, right? They're worried about what's gonna sell. She wants to worry about what's gonna fulfill her soul, her heart and soul, you know? And so like that's where she's shifting with her career right now. She's shifting that focus on like making a successful career, and instead she's focusing on making a more fulfilling career. Yeah, so that is where she is at. Let's pull some more about how Jisoo feels about her career. How does Jisoo feel about her career, music, and otherwise, just in general? How did she feel? Okay, look at that, guys. Okay, too much, like a lot fell out here, and you know I don't do that, okay, because we're not gonna be here forever, but we'll just take the one that was on top, which is going with the flow. So it's like she's really open for her career to take her in like any direction. Look how open this is, and she's like chilling. Like she's like, I'm gonna chill, I'm gonna be me, and I'm gonna let the universe do the rest of the work. Like that's where she's at right now. Yeah, so I have a feeling like that's why she's so much into acting as well, because she's like, music doesn't define me, Blackpink doesn't define me, like being famous doesn't define me either, you know. And so she wants to try all types of different things, whatever is going to make her. She's not letting anything define her. She's like, I'm not gonna put a label on it. I'm just gonna be open to whatever I enjoy and let my joy like take me there. Oh my gosh, you guys, look at these two cards that fell. Guidance and master. Literally, this is what I was saying earlier, guys. It's confirming that like she's turning within. She's focusing on self-mastery right now instead of her career, right? She's focusing on inside instead of outside, because she knows that that's where true success, true fulfillment, and happiness aligns. Right. And so because she's turning within, she's becoming the self-master, and it's like she doesn't need anyone or anything else. She knows that outside of her, all she needs is her own inner guidance, her own intuition, right? So she's really relying and trusting on it, building, healing cultivating, listening to her own intuition. And like that's right, so going with the flow, right? It's like that's how she is choosing to go about her career right now, is through her intuition, right? Is what is bringing her most joy, what is making her soul feel most fulfilled and most authentically herself. That is also a big part of it here, right? So that's why she's like, well, that could mean anything for me. Like, who knows? You know, it could be music, it could be acting. I'm getting in my head like martial arts for some reason. Like, it could be something as crazy as that, you know, like something totally different. Like, she's open to it. Yeah, and like maybe even doing the martial arts in movies, I feel like. And then what I was also picking up was like this sense of pride, like looking at all the faces in the back here, like it's like, yeah, all these other people, majority of the collective may not be proud of my journey, and at the same time I know that I deserve to, regardless of how other people perceive, because they don't know the full story. They don't know the full story. They don't know the full me, the real me. Do I even know? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, so she's like coming to terms with fully accepting herself, fully loving herself, and like being proud of herself, her career, no matter the outcome, right? It's like, even though I might have failed, the fact that I tried, the fact that I persisted and believed in myself, like that is something I deserve to be proud of, regardless of the outcome. And so yeah, that's really how she's feeling about her career right now. She's like, other people may not be proud of me and my career, but I am. I deserve to be. Like, I worked my ass off. I tried my very best. I may not be the best, but I tried my best. And I think that that is a beautiful example of what we should all strive for, just to be the best version of ourselves, because we are never gonna be the best at everything. We may be the best at one thing, but then again, like, even if we do become the best at one thing, we're not always going to be the best at that thing for like our rest of our lives. You know what I mean? Like, there's so Right. So that's why it's so important to just be the best version of yourself, instead of focusing on like, I need to be the best at everything or at this one thing even. Like, we don't need to. We're not here for that, because we are multifaceted, dimensional beings, right? And this is why. This is why, like, this is so beautiful. Like, she's really like ascended spiritually to realize to that, like, our identity, like, we all reach this like existential phase process in the spiritual journey, and realizing how, like, we're not here to do any one thing, or to be any one thing, or a few things, or to like there's not really a true like purpose in this life. Like, you need to do this, you have to do that, otherwise, you know, it's more so you just come here to learn. You just come here to learn, to grow, to expand your consciousness, like on the basic general level. Like, that's what we're all here for, is to expand our consciousness. And so yeah, she's really understanding that, and elevating above like the three-dimensional blueprint of like, this is what it means to be success, this is what it means to be like a good or a beautiful person or woman. And she's like going past all of the, bypassing all of these roles, these labels, and like filtering through to find her true authentic self. And maybe that's why she stepped back so much, because she's turning within, right? She's spending a lot of time meditating, she's spending a lot of time doing like internal work. And that's why, like, oh, where's Jisoo, where's her music, what is she doing, right? Because she's not focusing on outside, right? And like making all of these projects to prove to people that she's relevant, or to prove to people that she is good at music, or whatever, because she knows that she's talented, right? And she doesn't have to prove to people that she is, to feel that way. Yeah. yeah, so I think to me it is pretty surprising how spiritual that this reading has gotten, especially for Jisoo, because she seemed to be such a like a detached person, such an unbothered person, that I assumed that she wasn't really in tune with her emotions, and therefore not very like ascended or like directly on a spiritual path. But it seems to be that she is, and that's really cool. That's really admirable, because like what they're saying, like it's really hard. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of noise to have to tune out in order to turn within, or when you're such a public figure, because there's so much pressure to be a figure, to be a persona, to be a product instead of a person, instead of your authentic self, that right, to focus on what sells instead of what fulfills, that right, it's so easy to lose yourself. But instead of that, instead of allowing herself to get lost in it, instead of allowing herself to be like labeled and repackaged into something else, she took her power back. She took her power back. So that so now that she's in this state of like taking her power back, finding her and being her true authentic self, following her intuition, what does this mean for her career then? So it's like right now, that's what she's doing right now. She doesn't know what it's gonna lead. She doesn't have a plan really. So let's ask the universe for what exactly that means for Jisoo in her career, because I'm sure everyone wants to know more specifics about Jisoo's career specifically. All right, so these cards flipped upright. Yes, okay. Just these two, so we'll take it. Oh, guys, like you thought she was slowing down? Like you thought, like don't sleep on her. Don't sleep on Jisoo. Okay, is all we're saying. Yeah. Once again, I'm seeing her doing martial arts or something, or like driving a fast car. Like, I don't know. She's gonna be doing something that is gonna be totally unexpected, totally different, totally out of character, and that's why she's doing it, right? Because she's like wants to break out of that box of like who you're supposed to be, who people expect you to be, right? Ooh, break out of that box. And wasn't I doing that earlier to describe how she's like becoming more authentic and finding herself? So it's like literally right. So it's like, here's what it's saying, here's what they're saying. They're saying that through her, that it's validating what I was saying earlier, that Jisoo is understanding a universal law that like in order to find true success, it must come from within first. So once you feel fulfilled in the present moment with yourself as you are right now, then that's when the success and everything else will start to, you attract it, and it will start to align, right? Because you only attract what you are. You only attract what you are, a vibration, what is a vibrational match to you right now. Okay, so it's like you become the best version of yourself, then you are able to attract the best version of reality. You're able to create that for yourself. And so that's what she is like, becoming the creator of her reality. And it's like through this self-awareness, through this spiritual growth and expansion, that is the key, and everything would just start like snowballing and really fast for her, like lots of positive change in her career. It's not really getting into specifics as to like what so right. And then with like the red, yellow, green, like keep seeing her driving a car. Maybe it's a metaphor that she's going on the fast track to like Hollywood or something, because I keep seeing her on a big screen in a fast moving car. So maybe that is her goal, but maybe that's where she's going next in her career. But at the same time, I feel like they're just trying to say that like whatever it is that she's doing, just know and trust that like it's bringing her joy, it's bringing her soul level fulfillment, and that's why she's doing it. Even though it may seem crazy or whatever, like that's just our own judgments on like how people should be, right? And so ooh, she is breaking the blueprint, and she's gonna be awakening and triggering other people who are still in the blueprint of like how you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do. And right, because it's gonna trigger them to be like, oh, what, I thought she was this and now she's this, like I don't know, I don't understand. Yeah, and then so that's gonna be like planting the seed for their own awakening, right? And so she's a little like a light worker. She's a light worker. I feel like, you know, when you help to awaken, when it's a part of your soul purpose, and when it's a part of your like your soul's joy, and when it's in alignment with helping others in the collective, then it's like, yeah, I feel like she's a light worker, right? She's meant to spread the light. She's meant to help to reawaken, reactivate the light in the darkness, right? My favorite quote from Tara Arnold, who she's also a YouTuber, she channels Saint Germain, and a quote that I love her saying is, ah yes, all darkness is love that has forgotten that it is light, right? And so, ooh, yes, look at this. It's like she is a light worker, and like through the end of her career in Blackpink, it has awakened this like next level in her spiritual journey, like her soul contract, which is to remember that she is a light, right? And it's like the black sheep. When you think about the like the spiritual journey and the concept of a black sheep, it's like, and in Blackpink, she was the black sheep, right? And it's like, what happens to the people in the black sheep, right? They're the ones who are always left out, looked down on, the underdogs, and they're the ones who, through all of that darkness of like feeling that way, less than, not good enough, and all that darkness being projected at them, and they internalize it, right, naturally, right? Through that hardship, they could either become the darkness that was projected at them, or they could transmute it, right? Transform it back into light. And that is what she is doing, and she's going to teach others to do the same. That's so beautiful. So yeah, don't sleep on Jisoo. Keep an eye out on her, because like what she's doing next in her career is going to be awakening in some sort for her and others who watch her. Ooh, right, so she holds a lot of power. She holds a lot of power. And so just for fun, let's try to get like a more of insight on what it might be, the things that are in her career, what direction, what things is she going to be doing next. And then, you know, if I don't get anything too clear, I'll just cut it out and end it there. But just for fun, what is it? What is next for Jisoo? Through her awareness, and what is this intensity going towards? What kind of industry? What kind of activity? What kind of ideas? Like, can we get more details on what is in store exactly for Jisoo's career next? Okay, so this is all they're giving us, guys. Like, once again, here we go. Like, think again. If you thought she was gonna slow down, if you thought she was gonna be something to forget or to miss, think again. All right, because that is double the confirmation that she is running. She's hitting the ground running. All right, full steam ahead. And so it's like telling me maybe she doesn't have a specific plan, but she does, like, right, she is being guided. She is being guided moment to moment, step by step, of like, what is it to go, what is it to do next, to focus on next, right, to pour her energy into. So she's not slowing down once again. And the dream in reverse. So remember, guys, it's like what I said earlier when I pulled for Jisoo, that like, I think I said that, but like being an idol, may not be her true dream. Like, it was a childhood dream that she thought that she always wanted to do, was to be an idol. Like, not really so much about music, but more so to be an idol. Like, that was the dream. But like, right, it's in reverse now, because she's awakening to the fact that that's not really her true dream, or maybe it's not the only dream or the full dream, right? And so the fact that this is in reverse, and the fact that this also was in reverse, right, slowing down, it's telling me that she's pivoting, right? Pivot. She's taking a huge pivot to a different direction. So they're not, you know, they're not giving specifics, but they are confirming that she is not gonna be doing something within the idol industry next. The next thing that she does, it's not gonna be singing or dancing. But I still have a feeling she is gonna still put out music though. Like, it's not like something that she's gonna drop completely, but I have a feeling that it's never, I wouldn't say never, but it's not really gonna be the focus anymore. Like, once Blackpink is done, right, like Blackpink was like, that was the fulfillment of her, like, her idol dream. And so it's like, well, now that I'm done with that, now that that wasn't as fulfilling as I thought it was going to be, I'm not going to put all my eggs in that basket anymore. Yeah, that's really what it's coming down to. And then I'm also getting attracted to, here with this card, we still have like rainbow, yellow, green, and reddish. So I mean, that's not the exact colors here, but it is reminding me of the fact that it's a turtle that's going slow, and then reverse is also reminding me of a car again. I keep seeing her in a car. I know that Lisa did the whole, like, she did something in some NASCAR race, but you know, that was just some small thing anyway. But I mean, I don't know why she did that. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense. So maybe it's just a metaphor for, it's gonna be something that it's like, why is she doing that? That doesn't make sense. Like, how does what she did before, or how is what she's doing now connect? You know, it doesn't connect. It doesn't relate. So I feel like maybe that's just the underlying feeling of how she is. What's next for her career, for Jisoo? Wow, that is really interesting. That is really powerful. That is really cool, free, and fun. And I'm excited for her and for everyone. I didn't expect that. I did honestly expect her to, I guess, be a little lost, not have a plan, or not be very motivated, right, because of what people are saying. But to my surprise, it's like she's not letting that get to her. She's transmuting all of that negativity back into love and light, and she's pouring it back into herself, and she's not giving up. She's not backing down. She won't back down. We can't back down. You know, so it's like, yeah, I feel like she's really funny. She's having fun with it. That's her goal, right? To follow her joy, to have fun with it. And I think that's a powerful, beautiful message for those of you watching as well. Like, that is how you reach true success and fulfillment, no matter how beloved or hated that you might be. You know, it's like she is gonna have that fulfillment. She's gonna find that fulfillment because it's already within her, and she knows that, and that's why she's constantly turning within, no matter what's happening outside of her, right? And that is true power, guys. That is true power. That's true self-love. Oh, wow. So I'm so happy that, like, that's always the message. I'm so happy and thankful that I'm able to always bring that home, right? Like, that's the root. That is the core of every message. Self-love, guys. Oh, self-love, inner voice. Yes, it's the way that we talk to ourselves. Like, that's how we create our reality, right? Because it's a reflection of our inner reality. So if we have something outside of ourselves that we don't like, then we just turn within and we fix it inside of ourselves. We soothe ourselves, we parent ourselves, right? And we work through those emotions with love for ourselves, no matter what happens. Ashe. Right? No matter how messy or imperfect. Yes, you guys. That is true self-mastery. Wow, and I was kind of honestly expecting Jennie to be the one who is like the most spiritually aligned, attuned, awakened, self-mastered, but it's actually Jisoo, guys. It's actually Jisoo, and I think it's because it's like it's something that's more quiet. It's something that's more quiet. It's something that's like when you truly feel it within, you don't feel the need to show people. Even you don't even feel the need to tell them, right? You're just like you don't have to explain yourself, right? You just be and you just focus and like you keep it to yourself because it's sacred to you. You know what I mean? And oh yeah, so that's how she's treating it. That's how Jisoo is treating it. She's like she's recognizing that she is sacred. Like her soul, her love, her joy is sacred, and she's going to honor it, as we all should. All right, so take from Jisoo and follow your joy, guys. Follow your joy and find it from within, no matter what's happening outside of you. Oh, shit. Thank you for watching. Now back to the next question.
Now, I have one last question. I wanted to ask from YG's perspective. Their boss, the big man at the top. I'm sure there's another man or more who's above him, right? But he's a face. So what is his plans for Blackpink's future versus what Blackpink members want for the group future? Right? Because I have a feeling that they're gonna disband this year. You know what? Let's pull a card for that. Are they gonna disband this year? Are they gonna disband? Let's say this. Are they gonna disband within the next 2 years? Are they gonna disband within the next 2 years? Transformation. Transformation, in other words, transition to a next stage. That's giving disbandment, baby. Right? And like it's like this one person with a lot of arms, right? So it's like they're going solo, but they're definitely taking their experiences as a group to heart. It's not like they totally want to just leave that behind and forget about each other and the group. But I think they all value each other and the group itself. Yes, transformation. Phoenix at the top of the head. Yeah, so within the next 2 years for sure. I feel like within the next 1 year, maybe they'll announce it within this year, and then like they'll do their like last promotions within the next following year, maybe. Yeah, because I feel like this year is a little bit too soon. There's like a lot of hype with the fact that they're coming back. So I feel like YG wants to milk it. YG wants to milk it, but at the same time cap it. He wants to cap it before they could ever fall off, right? So it's like that's like their formula. Like when they're at the top, but maybe they're aging out. When they're at the top, but hey, they've had a few successful years, it's time to cut them off. It's time for them to go on their own because they don't want to be the one. What is this saying? What is this saying? It's like you'd rather have like cut it off. Oh yes, I got it. So it's like when they say it's better to quit while you're ahead. Like that is their goal and their vision. And so that's what they want to do with Blackpink as well. Quit while they're ahead. That way, so that the fans, just like with 21, so that the fans could always be wanting more, so that maybe a few years down the line we could do some things and like still have a lot of people interested. You know, like they just think it's better, it's safer that way. It's a safer bet. It's a safer bet, especially after having them be so successful and so at the top. They want to keep them in that light rather than having the possibility, rather than having them like, oh, everyone's saying, oh, look how high they were, and like, oh, look where they are now. They really fell off. They're so irrelevant. Like that's like it's so shameful. Like they'd rather not have that story or narrative go around at all. They'd rather not risk it. So that is YG's plan. Yeah. So wait. I mean, I guess all I asked was if they're going to disband with the next 2 years. So is that his plan, or what is his plan for their future? Like, let's get more into detail on that. Okay, that's too much cards, too much detail. Okay. Yeah, because the more cards, the longer the reading, and it's already really long. So, what is his plans for Blackpink's future within this next 2 years? Bruh. You guys. So the biggest complaint into what pisses people off about how they managed Blackpink, they're gonna keep doing it. They're gonna keep doing it. They're gonna keep doing it. And I think a lot of it is rage bait, right? Like rage marketing. They do intentionally do that. And they're justifying it. They're justifying it with you have a maturity card here. They're like, you know what? It's what the fans want anyway, or it's right for the fans because it's the right time for the artist. You know, they're getting older, they're aging out, like they can't do much anyway. They can't do as much like how they used to because they're so old. They just can't anyway. But honestly, I mean, even when they were young, it's like a very unhealthy and toxic work environment and expectations and like the rate and like the hours, right? Like it was very toxic anyway, so even when they were young. um but that's their reasoning and their justification. So they're like, we're not going to do much with them. We're not going to do much with them. We're going to do a bare minimum releases, bare minimum releases, um because hey, that's just the way that they've always been, that we've always managed them. So why would we change now when they're like when it's coming to an end? So like that's how they see it. They're like, Blackpink is coming to an end anyway, so like what's the point? It's not a smart investment. And then we also got here playfulness. Playfulness. Okay. So I feel like that was their goal with Jump. Because I saw them like in the studio and around the big board or meeting room, like that was their intentions with the new release and the comeback, and possibly with another comeback, maybe 2 or 3 more comebacks, maybe even one, who knows, but 3 max. Ooh, that, yeah, 3 was on the bottom of this isolation card, so 3 comebacks max, more. um yeah, yeah, but these comebacks, like their goal is to make it very playful. Their goal is to make it very playful. Why? I think it comes from their patriarchal, like misogynistic mindset of like, hey, they're too old for this. And so like, let's milk it though. Like they're not aged out yet. So let's milk it though for like and play into that youthful factor for as long as it lasts, because it's not gonna last for much longer for them. I feel like that is their that's where their perspective, where they're coming from. And they're like, yeah, like let's do that, so like they could always hold that image in their mind that like Blackpink being that like youthful and I was gonna say sexy, but I feel uncomfortable putting those 2 words together. But hey, that's K-pop's expertise. Let's be real. All right, otherwise let's not get into that because that's just a whole thing, but like it's undeniable. All right, don't even argue. I'm gonna make a video about that. Don't even argue with me about that. But like, yeah, you see, my nose is so itchy because it's true. It's true. K-pop, and like they try to even Japanese culture, right? The merging of cuteness and sexiness and the culture of like having those two aesthetics so intertwined is dangerous. It's misogynistic. Okay. It's dangerous to the psyche of men and women and children. All right. Look at me. I'm getting all so worked up because, anyways, this is not what this is about, right? But it is a big factor into the K-pop industry, right? Misogyny, the patriarchy, because it is a very misogynistic culture in itself as a whole. Like when you go outside of K-pop, right? And guess what, you can see that in every single culture in the world, because we live in a patriarchal world. And no, not because it's natural, but because it's the way that the leaders of the world, like and religion, they made it that way so long ago, and they destroyed everything else so that you thought it was the only way. Anyways, ooh, not no confirmation notification for confirmation on my phone. Anyways, thank you, universe. We're gonna get into that in another reading, all right? But yeah, like that is their angle, unfortunately, and that is their motives for it. um but it's fun because they're still young. Like, even if they're still in their 30s, like they're not old, they're not young kids, but they're not old. And I think it's just really toxic to have this mindset that society projects, because I believe that they could really still be successful for years to come. Maybe in not the same way, like they're not going to be performing and doing the same things in the same way, and I think that's unfair to expect of anyone. Perform and act the same way that you did in your 20s or in your teens and that you do in your 30s and your 40s. That's very restrictive, oppressive, right? Allow people to grow. And I think that if the K-pop industry allowed their artists to grow and be individual artists, um, they could really thrive. They could really thrive a lot more. So that's interesting. All right, so 3 more comebacks maximum. They're too old for this, but we're gonna milk them for all the youth that they got, and we're gonna take it in that direction. And it's like they want to freeze it in time, is what I'm getting. It's like that's why they want to take it in the playful, youthful direction, and as their ending, because they don't want to progress and transition into a more mature aesthetic or branding, because they're like, we're done with that. Or they just don't have faith because of their patriarchal misogynistic beliefs. They don't have faith that older women can be successful, or can be as successful, or as popular, as liked, right, or as sexy, right? Like they just idolize younger women and men. They just idolize youth. Why? Because the patriarchy makes you hate yourself, and it makes you hate. When you hate yourself, you don't accept all sides of yourself. And guess what? Aging is a cycle and a side of yourself, of all of us, that we can't avoid, right? And so that's why it's like it would be nice to be able to have them transition into that. But that's why they're not able to, because they won't let them, because it comes from misogynistic beliefs that, like, they won't succeed. Why? Because you've built the whole system that, like, caters to misogyny, and that caters to fucking pedophiles. And so guess what? Those are the things that sell and succeed, unfortunately. But yeah. So that is YG's perspective for Blackpink's future. Now, what is the members' desires for the group? For example, for Rosé. So what is Rosé's desires for the plans and the future of Blackpink? What is Rosé's desires for Blackpink's future? What does Rosé want for Blackpink's future? And not that easy to Ooh, I'm not that easy to tame. Okay, other possibilities. And the fact that this is the same card from Jennie's reading where she was like, she was wanting to bring the girls with her. She's wanting to do things with the girls as a group in the future. So this is giving like Rosé has those same desires, right? And it's like I was saying, like YG, right? Like it's because of their misogynistic beliefs that they're cutting them off early, that they're cutting them off short while they're at the top, because they believe that you're past your prime as a woman, like nobody's going to be interested in you, like that's really what they think. And I think that Jennie, Rosé, at least, notification confirmation, they can see that, and that's why they had that hope and another confirmation, thank you. They have that hope, they have the dream, they wish that it could be possible. Like it's like they know that it could be possible, but it would take having to uproot an entire system, an entire industry, which realistically could take generations to do. Because when you look at a history, when you want to change anything throughout history, it takes generations to create change in which, like, you know you're able to feel it as a collective in the society, and as a society you operate differently, because things happen in small stages, in small little yeah, things happen in small stages. So unfortunately, I don't feel like that's gonna happen for them in the way that they hope. But I think it's beautiful that they can all, or so far, Jennie and Rose can recognize that, and they both have that desire. Like they can see the potential. Like, hey, we still got it. Like we're not aged out or whatever. You know what I mean? Like we can still bring in a crowd. We can still be successful. Like people would still care. So that's beautiful. That's so cool, because I'm sure, like, just like me, there's so many fans who would love that same outcome. Okay, guys, so next I'm gonna do Jennie. Jennie. Well, since they had similar feelings, so I'll see what comes up for her. What what does Jennie want for Blackpink's future? Okay, that's too much, too much. What does Jennie want for Blackpink's future? One card, please. What does Jennie want? Oh, gosh. Alright, since my nose was so itchy when that fell, I'll take out two. I'll take out two. Because one fell on the table, one fell on the ground. Oh. Technical difficulties. Interesting, right? Because I was thinking, oh, Jennie feels the same. Jennie feels the same as Rose, and it's like I think she does, but there's more layers to it, because you have the change card here, and then this is also the card that fell on the ground, but it fell sideways, and it's understanding. It's understanding. Interesting. So the fact that this same card came up on the side too, it's like saying, yes, she does want the group to still continue, right? Like this change here, like it's a chart, it's broken up into 4 wheels there. Symbolic, right? Serendipitous. Yes, and so she does wish that all 4 of them could change and grow together and still continue as a group. At the same time, she does have understanding. She does have an understanding. I feel like, yeah, she definitely feels a little bit more like hopeless about being able to create change in the industry. She feels a little bit more like a victim to the industry. She feels not like she feels like a victim, but more so like a powerless. Like you can't really change it on your own, so why try, kind of thing. Or I'll just do what's best for me, and then like not try to focus on like saving the world. Like that's kind of the vibe here, right? Like it's in a cage, it's a bird in a cage. Like if this is what it takes to like leave my cage, like I understand and I accept that, like I'm happy to do that, even though I wish it could change in this way. Like I wish we could change and go all together, right? But then also the fact that change was the one that came up first, upright. It's like telling me, yes, she still wants them to grow together, but it's like she wishes that things could be so different as well. Like if they were to stay together in the future as a group, she still wishes that things could be different. Yeah, like she wishes that, like, no, we're not going to go back into the same contract. We're going to totally rewrite it, and we're going to make us like be the center. We're going to have a lot more creative control. Of course, we're going to be like a unit, and it's going to be like we're all going to come together for the company. Like we're not just going to be like, F you, will do what we want. No, but she feels like, yeah, there needs to be more of a balance. Like here with the yin and yang, there needs to be more of a healthy balance with like in the ways that they allow the freedom they allow the artist, creative control. Um, it's like she does want the group to grow back together, but only if they could get more creative control. And everybody feels like equal. Everyone feels equal, um, equally like valued and able to shine. Oh, so that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Or maybe Rosé was the one who was feeling a little bit hopeless about it. She's like, oh, I wish it was possible, but I guess it's just not. But then, Jennie, there's a little bit of a deeper layers into like thinking, okay, like, well, how would I want it to be? Like if it were to happen, how, there's a little bit of a more planning. And when you plan more, it's because you think it's possible, or you think more so that it's possible, and that there's more hope, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. There's a little bit more hope, and thinking, like, you entertained it. You entertained the idea a little bit more than Rosé did, you know. So that's interesting, right? And that makes sense. Jennie did have like the stronger bond and the stronger, the more healthy or positive experience and perspective on being a part of Blackpink. All right, so now let us do. All right, so now I'm gonna do Lisa, right? So that was Rosé, that's Jennie. Now let's do Lisa. Lisa, how does Lisa feel? What does Lisa want for Blackpink in the future as a group? What is Lisa's desires for Blackpink in the future? What is Lisa's desires? The Fool. Oh, that's so sweet. It's like it's giving the similar to Jennie. She thinks very similar to Jennie as well, as what I'm getting. And so it's like, yeah, I wish that we all could, but only if it was to be in a totally new beginning, in a totally new setting. And she wants, and I feel like Lisa's a little bit more inclined to be happy to be on her own. She's happier to be on her own, have a little bit more independence and individuality. She's happier than the other members so far, to a little bit more excited to go on the solo career. So, what does she want for Blackpink as a group in the future? I feel like for Lisa, it's like she wants to be able to have that freedom to go on her own and have her own solo career and establish herself as that first. And then like have the girls like be able to pop in with the girls like along the way, here and there. Like that's what I'm getting. So maybe similar to like YG's desires, except like more freedom and like more often, and like we don't have to have an age gap, a cap on our age. Like I feel like she'd be happy to do it for the rest of her career. Um Blackpink things, as a group. She'd be happy to do that throughout the rest of her career, just like sparingly here and there along the road, along the way, while like her own individual career is still the focus and the priority. I feel like that's Lisa's desires. Yeah, she wants to do things totally differently. I have a feeling like she wants to step away from like K-pop itself as a whole. I feel like she's a little bit more like, as a younger kid, she was more drawn to the K-pop industry, the K-pop what do you call it? The system, right? But like now that she's older, she kind of, it's not like, oh, she wants to step away from Blackpink as a group, but more so the K-pop system as a whole. And she's a little bit more attracted to the Western side of things because there's more creative freedom, individuality, and just like, yeah, she wants to have the freedom to do and to just be like anything. Like I see her having all like these masks, like a bunch of masks in her hands, and she wants to be able to flip through like all of them. Or just like her alter ego album. Yeah, she wants to be able to have the freedom to do that. That's what's most important to her. And so she wants to go where they give her that freedom. Mm. Interesting, interesting. Now, who's the last person? Jisoo. Now, how does Jisoo, what is her desires for Blackpink's future as a group? What is her desires? Jisoo's. What is Jisoo's desires about Blackpink as a group in the future? Since it's just two that fell out, I'll take it. This one is reverse. The dream in reverse. Ooh, moment to moment. Oh, our girlie, our unbothered queen. She really interesting. Look at her. She's so unbothered. Like she doesn't really have like a plan for the future. Not like she doesn't plan for the future, but like it's not set. Like it's not like, oh, I for sure want to be doing this. It's like she's entertaining possibilities. Maybe this, maybe that. We'll see, we'll see, we'll see how it plays out, and then just go from there, play it by ear. Yeah, that's definitely Jisoo's vibes and her goals, right? She'd rather do that. She feels more grounded when she does that. And why is that? Because she feels like Blackpink as a group, it's not all that she hoped that it would be. It's not all that, it's not as glamorous. None of the groups are as glamorous as, their company paints them to be. But for her specifically, yeah, for her specifically, it's like, maybe Blackpink wasn't even something, like, it's not the music that she'd be interested in. Like, you know how when you're a trainee, like, you're working your ass off to just get into a group, and they put you in a group with all these other girls that they are always choosing everything is thought out by the company with the intentions of what is the most profitable. And it's not going to create the most authentic and high vibrational content when you do that, right? Because that's not high vibrational intentions. And high vibrational intentions is when you come from intention, you come from the heart, you follow your joy, you follow your passions, despite what anyone else would think, despite the money or no money, right? And I feel like that's where Jisoo is coming from. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Because she's realized that through Blackpink, that like, I thought that that's what I wanted, but that's not actual happiness. It's just performance. It's a performance. It's not actual happiness. Like, you know what I mean? Like we perform for people every day, like even not like a literal performance, but like when we do what other people expect of us, right? When you're not your authentic self, you are doing a performance, right? People pleasing is a performance. And so it's like she's is a heavy lesson for her that she took to heart, and she wants to take to her future career. Um yeah, so it's like music, she's like, maybe it's not really music. Maybe as a kid, she really just wanted to specifically be an idol. Like she fell in love with the glamorized idea of being an idol, not exactly with like being your own music artist. So yeah, she loves music. She likes to make it and she likes the process, but oh, notification for confirmation, thank you. Like, maybe that wasn't the focus of her dream, and like maybe it was more so centered specifically around like being an idol and not just the music. And so because it's not just the music, right? Like the way that the K-pop idol system is set up, right? It just eats at your passion, your happiness. It leaves no room for that. So it just like made it impossible for her to ignore that being an idol is toxic. Like she didn't just love music, she wanted to be an idol. But being an idol, it's toxic and it doesn't bring you happiness. It's very, very hard to be happy while being an idol because you're not allowed to be yourself. You're not allowed to, and when you think about that, when you take that out of the equation and you're not really allowed to be yourself, and you're not gaining fulfillment from your own creations and your own like pride in yourself and how you show up, right? Then what are you really gaining happiness from? Like you're just gaining happiness from like, right, outside validation, right? And the affection from other people and how other people perceive you. And like yeah, like that, like the system, like they train you to like, yeah, notification for confirmation, thank you. They train you to be exactly what other people want you to be and nothing else, right? Keep everything else, like, like they give you an identity, they give you a personality, a character to play, to be. Wow, so this is getting really deep. This is getting really deep for Jisoo. Like it's not just about Blackpink, but it's like about like my identity. Who do I want to be? What do I want to do with my life? And will that make me happy? And not just like everyone around me. Will that, like, despite like if it looks like a successful career, like, she understands like success, having a successful career doesn't mean happiness, because she's had that. She's had that. She has that right now, right? And she's had that moment where like, hey, we're Blackpink, we're at the top, but I'm not happy. So what the heck? What the hell is up with it? Where does happiness really come from? She's had that journey, and she's like, oh, it comes from within. All right, well, turning within, what do I really want? And that's why she's going moment for moment, right? She's following her heart, following her joy, her passions, right? And like living authentically. When you live authentically, you really do just live in the moment, right? Wow, so that's really beautiful. That's really healthy, and I'm really happy for her. I Maybe she's the one out of all of them who's the closest to having true happiness, true fulfillment, true satisfaction within herself and in her life, because she's on that trajectory. Because she's having these kinds of thoughts and beliefs. That's interesting, right? She's not identifying. She's not identifying with the past. She's not identifying with the future. She's not even identifying with the present, right? She's allowing herself to be free, to go with the flow, multifaceted. She's seeing the multidimensionality within herself, right? She's awakening spiritually. I don't think she's into spirituality, but even when you're not into spirituality, like you are on a spiritual journey. Like you just learn it through different avenues. Like that's what life is. Life is a spiritual journey because we are beings of energy. At our core, we are spirits, right? And we are in this like avatar, right? So I feel like, ooh, she's really on this like high vibrational, spiritual, bigger picture type of journey, where it's like, fame, fortune, Yeah, it's alright. It's nice, but it's not the goal, the key, the end goal. It's not the all end all be all. And I think that's really beautiful. Like, she's very grounded. She's very grounded. She's very balanced, right? Like I said, she's not identifying with any. She's not identifying with anything. So she's allowing herself to explore, experience all the things, and to be all the things, instead of just saying I'm just a singer, or I'm just an actor, or I'm just going to do this. She's like, I'm all of these things, and I can do more. I can be more, right? Like, she's a very interesting person, and I feel like she out of all of them, I see her building success beyond Blackpink, beyond music. Everyone else seemed pretty centered around like music. But yeah, she seems like very like open, like even right now, like who knows, like she's writing her own story. She's like, she's thinking, she's open, she's looking around, she's like going hopping adventure, and she's like, who knows, I could go back to school even, I could be like a scientist, like I could, like who knows, like, but like that's her energy. She's really separating from Blackpink, from music. She's detaching. She's detaching from it all, from all outcomes of her career, and she's like, I'm not my career, I'm more than that. And she's figuring it out, and she wants to show people along the way, and you know and in the end I feel like she'll come to like whatever her passion is. I don't think this music is her passion, that's why. So yeah, she's finding her passions, and I think in the end she'll go try all these different things. And I think all these other things like will always be a part of her life, and like be a part of her. But she'll eventually stop in a homeland, a home position of like what her true passion is. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, maybe it has something to do with behind the scenes too, like being a writer, a producer, a director, a model. Maybe it's not even something with the entertainment industry, like I said, as well. So maybe we won't even like find out. But very interesting person, and I think it's a very beautiful like message to the people that like right, being at the top, like it and like you could be so successful at the top, and you could realize, hey, this is not even what I want to do, and then pivot, right? Pivot. Shout out to Card. Yeah, and then just go a whole different direction, and like it's a beautiful journey of life. Like, you're not failing just because you're taking a whole different direction. And I think Jisoo is going to be a beautiful reflection to the collective of that. Like, that you can be successful even if that success is a little messy, or a little long-winded, right? Like, yeah, and in the unexpected. I feel like it's going to be very unexpected, and so it's going to help be very healing for the collective to like watch her do all of these like different things, right? Because it's like breaking through stereotypes. It's breaking through barriers, expectations that we like that we project against people, and like try to make them conform and to stay into this like box of our expectations, right? So that's really cool. Keep an eye out for what Jisoo is doing. Like, don't sleep on her just because she's not like making music like the others. Oh, yes. Oh, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. So cool. If there's anything else that you guys would like to find out about, let me know in the comments. I'd be happy. I'd be happy to entertain the ideas. Whew. Well, that was fun. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you so much, Blackpink and the universe, for letting us tap into your energies to help to be a reflection of higher vibrational lessons and messages to the collective, to help to heal us all through other people's stories. Oshay, Oshay. Love yourself, because even the most famous people at the top have a hard time doing so, and even the most famous people at the top find that's the key to their true happiness and true fulfillment. Self-love from within, no matter the outside circumstances. Yes,